sounds sweet. If you really want it, gotta own it. Fight through it, we was at the lowest. Blood, sweat, tears, the components. Riding all year, now's the moment. We are not friends, we are opponents. Yeah, I'm coming for mine. Yeah, I'm making a play, the game on the line. Yeah, I've been on the grind. Yeah, I jump in the spot, I made it my time. Yeah, look in the sky. Yeah, the stars align, no shade to shine. Can't stop it already. Emotional work and devotion, we put in this time. Look, you won't stop my stride. I'll just break your line. I don't tolerate wasted time. I'm coming to take what's mine. Can't stop, won't stop, won't. If you really want it, gotta own it. Blood, sweat, tears, liquor, if you take us down, keep fighting. Off day, gotta bounce back. Might have took an L, we don't count that though. Remember bad, we was down bad. Now the way we looking, gotta doubt that. I know you see the way we moving, giving game. Better listen like a student, don't talk bad it, be about it, do it. Look here, really ain't nothing to it. I got proof for you like tenfold. Always down for the team, 10 toes. You been hater, we been on. Won't quit till I'm in the end zone. Won't stop till I hit the goal line. Never been the one to need a cosign. Can't stop it already, emotional work and devotion. We put in this bedtime, look. You won't stop my stride. I'll just break your line. I don't tolerate wasted time. I'm coming to take what's mine. Can't stop, won't stop, won't. If you really want it, gotta own it. Blood, sweat, tears, liquor, if you take us down, keep fighting. At the end, I'll be there waiting for the rest. I don't take pity on the man who couldn't keep up with my best. No contest, no. You won't stop my stride. I'll just break your line. I don't tolerate wasted time. I'm coming to take what's mine. Can't stop,
Over the span of 62 days, 62 sunsets, and 2 months, the road to the next season finally reaches an end as a new one gets paved under the California landscape. The road starts here. We're live from the Virtual Auto Club Speedway in Fontana, California. It's the first race of Season 6 for the 4Wide Racing TJ's Team Series. A warm welcome from Fontana, and we are so excited to bring you coverage on the KBueno Racing Network for this year's 4Wide activities, where alongside Francisco Bacalhau in the broadcast booth, my name is Kenneth Bueno. Francisco, there was a lot to be said after the end of Season 5, Homestead Miami Speedway. We had a stunning finale at the end between 5 drivers. We had those 2 months of anticipation. A lot of things have happened in that downtime. Now we get to see what these drivers are made of in this first race of Season 6. So many new things we need to uncover, but the excitement is at an all-time high.
You're right about that, Kenneth. There is a lot of excitement and a lot of reasons to be excited about, which we'll touch upon as this broadcast here goes. But I'm excited to be back, Kenneth. You mentioned it. It's been 2 months since that finale where we saw Jaden Porter capture his first championship in his first full season. And that just was kind of the icing on the cake for what was a very dramatic Season 5. And Season 6, I hope it is in store for a lot more of that same level of excitement and a lot of action that these guys can bring us. But we're here. We're back at the Auto Club Speedway. Auto Club has hosted the opening race of the season before, and it hasn't been, I believe, since Season 3. The last time that it was the opening race, it was won by Colin Forster, who's a driver looking to try and get back into championship form. And before we touch on any of those things tonight, Kenneth, we kind of have to get into what happened in the duels, which is the most recent event, of course. And TJ Bursk was able to sweep the duels. Therefore, he is going to be starting on pole tonight. And if those duels were any indication, track position is going to be important tonight.
Track position is going to be very important. TJ Bursk is going to be at the head of the field when we drop the green flag tonight. But before we hop into all of the factors going into tonight's Season 6 opener, why don't we take a look in the rearview mirror in that stunning Season 5 finale at Homestead of Miami Speedway, where Jaden Porter captured his first career 4Wide championship.
The 99 of Colin Forster are going to lead us to the green flag. 1 race to go in the season, Kenneth, and we are championship racing from Homestead.
Forrester and Benson wrap all the way on the high side against that outside safer barrier. Drinking Bros Racing looking to make a tandem work at a turn 2 on the backstretch, and it will not happen. Colin Forrester to the front end, Kyle Benson to the championship lead.
Blues is the 48 of green into the 3 of Schaefer. He spins down the racetrack, hits the inside wall, will slide back up a little bit.
Kyle Benson moves to the championship lead at Homestead. Jaden Porter fight for 4th against Alishire, so he's slowly trying to regain his position that he lost on that restart. Lawson Peel has a lead of 2.2 seconds over Kyle Benson with 4 lap pressure tires. You're looking at Championship 5 and race leader Lawson Peel holding out a 3.5 second gap to the next championship driver in line, Kyle Benson. It looks like Eric Schaefer, driver for Drinkin' Bros Racing, with a problem. First attempt at 3, and an overtime restart. Colin Forrester, Kyle Benson are the first 2 to see the green flag. 2 laps to go from Homestead in Miami. Stocks Motorsports has a fantastic restart. Jaden Porter on the inside of Benson for the championship lead. We're 3 wide. Here they go into turn 3. Curtis Kelly with monumental help on the back bumper of the 28. Still 3 wide for the lead in the championship. Peel falls back. He's into Benson. Final lap from Homestead. And Colin Forrester sees the white flag. In his first full-time season, Jaden Porter knocks the field out and wins his first ever 4Wide Cup Series championship. Winner at Dover earlier this season to lock him into the playoffs. Winner at Charlotte to get him into this very round. And for the first time ever, Jaden Porter is a 4Wide Racing Cup Series champion. Jaden Porter, the most recent champion in the 4-wide series. And Francisco, as you look through the history of this series on iRacing, there has never been a repeat champion in history. Jaden Porter, the most recently, had Lawson Peel, AJ Green, Scott Healy, and James Holtz walking all the way back to season 1. Porter is in a very unfamiliar spot. He came into this series swinging, then won that championship. Now he's coming in as the defending champion, probably looking for 2 in a row. There's going to be a lot holding on his shoulders in this season opener and this season entirely.
And one of the things to note about each of these champions is that they won those championships in their first or second year in the series, which is important to note because sometimes a driver can just come in and sometimes they're hot right off the bat and then they able to return with that target on their shoulders and they don't have that same kind of success. The closest we saw to someone being able to repeat that success, of course, was last season with Lawson Peel. Of course, had those 7 wins, was in contention to win that championship finale, but it's never actually happened. So Jaden has a lot going on for him in the sense that he is that defending champion. He won it in his first full-time season, and there is questions as to what now, right? Because once you win that championship, once you are a champion of a series, the next question is, well, how many more can you get? And in Jaden's case, that's exactly what is going to be asked of him by the spectators watching this, the competitors as well. Just how good is the driver, the 28, able to perform now that everybody knows he's a champion? They know what he's capable of, and can he live up to those expectations?
One thing is for certain, though, Francisco, rookies have been synonymous with success in this series. It doesn't matter who they are, and you mentioned it earlier. Colin Forster won his first career 4-wide race at this track when it was the opener in Season 3. But we've got a lot of new rookies swarming into the 4-wide series for 2023. You look at the entire Season 6 rookie class in Francisco, there's a lot of talent harnessed in these drivers, these 8 specifically. They're going to be bearing new numbers, new colors, new sponsors, and overall just a bunch of newness into this year's 4-wide series.
Indeed so, and we hope to see them around for most of the season. Of course, Kenneth, we hope that these guys are able to have a good season for their own sake, and of course just to be able to prove a challenge there for those top veterans. You always like to see someone new come in and be able to take the challenge right to the top, and there's several notable names here that are able to do so. A couple of guys here that are in the KBueno Racing stable are joining there as well, but some other guys we saw in that dual race and at the both dual races, they showed up and they were able to make some nice impressions there, running up towards the front, getting into the top 5, top 10. If they're able to do that, at least in the early couple of races of the season, I'm sure they'll be able to stick with that and take some notes away going into future races and building that confidence, which is what it's all about in your rookie season. At the end of the day, it's building that confidence up, completing all the races, completing all the laps, and trying to be there at the finish. Because, of course, to win the race, you must first finish.
If it seems, though, Francisco, the rookies are trying to build any confidence, I'm certain that in this series, they already come in with a heap of confidence because we've seen them perform so well in recent memory. And you saw Mikey Neal, one of those rookie drivers for KBueno Racing. He finished inside the top 10 in duel number 2, made a lot of impressions there, and there are a lot of other drivers that are going to be doing so over the course of season number 6. We'll continue to talk about this season as it moves forward, but Francisco, let's get into the schedule, what we are expecting to see for this year. And I remember when you and I had a look at it for the very first time, we directly went through every single race, kind of highlighted which ones would be our favorites, which one we'd be watching out for, which new tracks are making their way onto the schedule. What strikes you the most in terms of looking at this season 6 calendar for this year?
I mean, your eyes immediately have to dart to that finale, right? I mean, it's Homestead Miami Speedway once again, which delivered last year as a championship finale, and I'm very excited to see it hosting that finale once again this season with the Xfinity cars. Of course, that's something we're going to touch up on later, and with the different playoff format, that's another discussion. But you look at the rest of the schedule, like I said, we're here at Auto Club tonight, and then we kind of work our way through a similar schedule as last season. We go to Nashville really early, Phoenix, Las Vegas, a little West Coast swing there, followed by Talladega. You don't see Daytona until about halfway through the regular season there, later on in the month of November. You have a 2-week Thanksgiving break, which is going to give drivers plenty of time off if they need to regroup, refocus after that break to try and make a late push for the playoffs. Same deal there after the All-Star race, which that's going to be an interesting one for sure, Kenneth. The North Wilkesboro Speedway with these race cars with no points on the line. I'm sure some form of payment is going to be set up by the league in order to try and give out a cash prize there, but we'll get that information whenever it gets delivered to us, followed by a winter break to celebrate the New Year's for 2024, and then that push towards the playoffs. You'll see there that regular season cutoff is at Talladega this time, not Daytona. And then we go into those final 9 races of the season. And Kenneth, like I said, there's a lot of good tracks there, but Homestead Miami Speedway is where everyone hopes to be at the end of the season, hoping that their name is synonymous with a potential championship.
That's 100% certain, especially with what they saw Jaden Porter do the last time we were there at Homestead. And, I mean, you and I are Florida natives. We've been to Homestead Miami Speedway quite a bunch, so I'm sure that we're definitely not angry that Homestead is the championship finale as Tyler Murray sees fit for Season 6 of this 4-Wide Racing TJ's Team Series. There's also a bunch of new things in terms of rules and everything else, so we'll touch on that in just a moment, Francisco. There are so many changes for Season 6. We don't really have a playoff elimination format anymore. We're going by points. We are still having somewhat of a playoffs, but it is more so like the chase for the cup that happened back in 2004. There are now wildcard spots eligible. The 14 drivers that will make it for the championship. Drivers who get into trouble over the season will have a license penalty point system. And also the biggest thing, Francisco, that we will touch on tonight, the Xfinity Series cars making their debut in this series. You have spent so much time looking at Gen 6 Cup cars, Next Gen Cup cars for 2 seasons, but it's the first time that Xfinity cars make their way to this series, so that's going to be big as well.
We touched a little bit on it in the duel, of course, Kenneth, is that this is a return to the traditional stock car. The next gen is something completely different. We've never seen anything like it in NASCAR before, and there's so much newness with that race car in terms of how it's designed, how you're supposed to drive it, how it handles, all that sort of stuff. But when you get into this NASCAR Xfinity Series car, it's kind of a return to something you're familiar with. Of course, there's subtle differences, but the general premise of how you steer the car, how it handles, the aerodynamics, and the way the tires work as well, those are things that will be familiar to many of these drivers that they've known for a long time. And I think getting quickly adjusted to this race car is going to be a little bit difficult, but once these drivers get into a rhythm that they're able to click away with this race car, I think you'll see a lot of guys be able to stand out and start to put up some good performances. This Xfinity car is a fan favorite among the service. It's definitely up there, and I'm excited to see what it's able to do for this series. You and I have covered different races. I know you covered the Work Dynamo Design series in its entirety, but you and I every once in a while have had a couple of races with these cars, and they don't disappoint. It's a really fun race car to drive, and I think all of these guys out there are looking to have some fun.
It's a big switch, though, for those that were used to driving the next-gen car, both in Season 4 and Season 5. They're going to have to get a little bit acclimated with this car. The Duels did a good job of getting them prepped for this race, but, I mean, again, nothing could ever set you up quite like a race setting, so tonight will be a big test for the entire field, whether you're a veteran or not. Speaking of veterans, we'll have a chance to talk with one of them. He's the man at the helm of the ship here at 4Wide, and we will bring in league owner Tyler Murray. And Tyler, we were just talking about some of the new changes for this season, and you've got some of your own. Your team has moved to the Ford Mustang. You've got a brand new number font, brand new numbers for everyone involved, some new drivers you've picked up. But before we get into those details, what are your thoughts about bringing 4Wide back for Season 6 and the excitement around it for all the drivers and for you as a league owner?
Yeah, exactly like you said, there's a lot of excitement surrounding this season. You know, it's our 6th season, so we've had 5 previous seasons to kind of test things out, figure out what's going to work, what we like best, and Season 6 is kind of a culmination of all of that coming together. Everything that we think is going to provide the best possible show and bring out the most fun drivers. So really, I'm more than excited for this season. I didn't sleep last night. I've been antsy at work all day. I'm ready to take this green flag and get fired off here in these Xfinity cars.
What seems to be the most exciting part about building the off-season towards this one? I know that Season 5 obviously was an intense one, especially with that Championship 5 finale, Jaden Porter being crowned a brand new champion. But in those 2 months, what were the discussions like between yourself and all of the admins to try and constantly reinvigorate this series and be innovative in a way?
Yeah, so that's something that always comes up as we're coming to the end of the season. You know, we don't have set months that we decide to race. We kind of just pick a timetable where we can get a little bit of a breather, have a little bit of a break, but then get ready to fire it back up with all the recruitment races and getting into the next schedule. Obviously, the biggest thing is you don't want to take too long of a break to the point where drivers go and find somewhere else to race. But additionally, you want to give people time to kind of let all the tempers from the previous season cool down, all the beef and all of that, and get everybody a chance to just relax a little bit, enjoy some time with their family. But yeah, we made the decision pretty early on last season that we were going to move away from the next gen car, and it was a tear between if we wanted to go back to Gen 6 or if we wanted to try something completely untested with the Xfinity car. And based on our experience and the fact that the Gen 6 wasn't going to be updated, we thought that it was a good opportunity for us to put us in a car that's going to challenge the drivers a little bit more. We have a lot of guys who run the league that really enjoy running the B car and officials, and they've been asking for it since season 2. And just trying to please as many people as possible and put together a system that is going to bring out the most amount of drivers and give everybody the best experience. That's really what we're looking for here.
It's been super exciting seeing you and all the admins try to experiment with changes and get everybody such a great environment to race in over the course of the season and throughout the sim. Despite everything you guys are doing, it seems to be working, and everybody seems to be very excited, including ourselves in the broadcast booth. Now, obviously, you have the role of the owner of the series. You control everything that happens, but you're also a driver. So you get to share, two different types of perspectives on this. Now we'll hop into the perspective as a driver. You've got a brand new identity with Murray Reedy Motorsports this season, brand new numbers, a brand new car in the Ford Mustang. You've got some new teammates along the way. So what are your thoughts about this race and how you feel before we get started?
It was a huge change for us. It was a decision that we made pretty much after the season to switch from Chevy to Ford. I kind of knew that I wanted to switch because last season, looking at the 16 drivers in the playoff grid, I think all but 2 of them were in Chevrolets. And I've been a diehard Chevrolet fan since as long as I can remember, watching the races and the old Dale Jr. cars and stuff like that. Every vehicle I've ever owned has been a Chevrolet. So we wanted to make a switch, and I don't know if it was Kyle or if it was Austin that came up with the front row motorsports concept. But I've always liked the front row number font and the types of drivers being underdogs. Obviously Austin and Kyle, those guys have made a lot of noise for themselves, but I'm hoping drivers like myself and Tyler Werner, who've been on Murray Reedy Motorsports since it was the big fast racing days back in season 1, and then obviously our new drivers that we brought in from Southern Heat, we merged with them, brought over Craig Lautenslager and Chris Bishop. I'm hoping that we can kind of adopt that Michael McDowell mentality with the front row motorsports numbers and kind of pull out some surprises, some fan favorite wins.
There's something specific, Tyler, if you remember, that happened to Michael McDowell. I'm not sure, 2021 Daytona 500. Does that ring a bell a little bit? So opening race with Front Row Motorsports. Yeah, exactly. And recently with the win at Indianapolis, I'm sure that some of the aura from Michael McDowell's wins probably might sprinkle onto you guys. And you guys have a heavy-hitting lineup. I mean, 2 of the drivers last season made the championship 5 from your team now. Kyle Benson, Craig Lautenslager. And I'm sure you guys are going to be hoping for the same amount of success, if not a little bit more, as you guys push towards season number 6. Tyler, before we let you go, is there anybody you want to thank, any specific thoughts you want to give out to the audience watching on the KBueno Racing Network before we drop the green flag tonight from Auto Club?
Honestly, I want to give a shout out to TJ's team coming on board and being the title sponsor of the series. It's a terrific foundation that helps raise money for families that have children going through struggles with pediatric cancer, helps cover expenses for them and stuff. They're a huge player in all of this for season 6. And really, I want to thank everybody who has put in the time behind the scenes. There's people that aren't admins. There's people like Paul Setup Shop that come on as a secondary title sponsor, help raise money for some of the cash prizes, like for the All-Star race and possibly the championship, depending on what the budget looks like at that point. But really, a lot of these drivers have just been with us since early on in the league, before I was even the owner, before I even took it over, and they've worked behind the scenes without much recognition to help bring their friends in and build the league up and create the community that we have here. And I think this season with the guys that we've brought in, the rookie class, all the returning veterans, the guys who ran seasons long ago that have come back and wanted to run, I think we're really teed up to just have an amazing season here and really put on some good shows.
It's going to be so much fun, and I can attest on behalf of myself and Francisco. I mean, we've been covering this series for a while, and every time this series comes back for another year, it really brings the sparkle back in our eyes. We are so excited to be back here for Season 6 and continue the coverage here on the KBueno Racing Network. Tyler, always a blessing, always an amazing time talking to you, and we certainly appreciate the time. We wish you the best of luck for you and your team as you guys take the green flag tonight in the opener for Season 6, and let's rip them.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys have a great broadcast. Put on a show for us.
So that is league owner Tyler Murray, driver for Murray Reedy Motorsports and driver of the number 36 Ford Mustang. Now, what Tyler is, of course, the man at the helm of the ship. He's got a lot of admins around him. This series probably would not have been possible without the support of TJ's team, the brand new title sponsor of the series. And with that, we'll bring in one of the rookie drivers who runs on behalf of TJ's team. Travis Anderson will get his thoughts before we head to the green flag from Auto Club. First of all, Travis, we appreciate the time. Thank you so much for joining us here on the KBueno Racing Network. We want to ask you about TJ's team involvement with 4 Wide for this season of the series. Talk to us a little bit about what TJ's team does, your insight on it, and of course their involvement with the series for 2023.
Yes, my wife and I, we started TJ's team after we lost our son to cancer in 2018. What we do is we help families with expenses, housing, utilities expenses, things like that while they're in treatment with their children for cancer. A lot of people don't realize this, but about 1 in 3 families end up having to file bankruptcy from costs associated with pediatric cancer treatments. I got involved with 4 Wide Racing when I met Tyler Murray through some mutual friends. Austin Reedy, who I sponsored in another league, introduced us, and Tyler really believes in what we do. He's a great ambassador for TJ's team, and Austin is as well. He carries us in the MPI series, which just it really helps us push our message, especially with the COVID transitions that happened. So really grateful for those guys, and can't wait to have a great season this year.
It's been really exciting seeing the partnership that you two have had and slowly building over time. And I remember, I believe it was IRP where TJ's team was represented there with Chris Hacker when he drove his Toyota Tundra TRD Pro there back in 2022, and Tyler was there. I remember he posted on Twitter about it. But Travis, as you step into your first full-time season here in the 4 Wide Racing TJ's Team Series, talk to us about your excitement of not only being a title sponsor, but bearing the sponsor on the race car and driving a race car with all the competition around you.
Oh man, like my son loves sports, so racing in particular, Dale Jr. was his favorite driver. But it's a new level of competition. I'm just trying to keep my nose clean, finish races, and get some experience. Tyler and that whole team at Murray Reeder Motorsports has done a phenomenal job, just kind of giving me guidance on how to do this thing, because I don't get to practice a lot being a director in the role I'm in. So it's it's going to be fun, and hopefully some guys have some fun, and we'll have some exciting things throughout the season.
It's going to be a lot of fun watching you and the rest of the field out on track when you take the green flag. Final question before we let you get some of your warm-up in the final 10.5 minutes and get to the race itself. What's your game plan? I know you've got some teammates here, MTC Esports, brand new team for Season 6 of the series. What specifically is the mindset, the motivation, and the game plan that you guys have for this first race?
I was able to keep my car clean in both the duels. Bishop and I had a little bit of contact there in the first one, but just keep the car clean, keep all 4 tires going in the right direction, and ride around, see what we've got for the last part of the race, and hopefully just bring home a clean car.
Well, Travis, we certainly appreciate the time. We appreciate all that you do with TJ's team. It's certainly an amazing cause, and we're so excited to have TJ's team be the title sponsor for this season of the 4 Wide Racing Series. We'll let you get set in warm-up as it winds down. We appreciate the time as always, and best of luck tonight from Auto Club.
Thanks, sir.
So that is Travis Anderson, one of the drivers, Francisco, in the rookie class for this season of the 4Wide Racing TJ's Team Series, and always great to have him as a part of the series with the big collaboration between TJ's team and 4Wide for this year. We still have about 10 or so minutes left in warm-up, and like you talked about, Francisco, we had dual races to set the field for tonight. We are not going to have a typical 10-minute qualifying session. Instead, we'll just be taking the green flag as soon as warm-up ends, and we'll have all the drivers on the starting grid. And boy, the duels were absolutely insane. Unfortunately, we did not have coverage of the first duel due to some technical issues, but we finally got duel number 2. But it was a common denominator in the 94. TJ Bursk, the absolute pounding he put on the entire field, dominated the last half of each of those races, and now we'll start at the very front of the field. We've seen TJ before, Francisco, probably not dominating like this, though, and the 94 going to be on the hot seat when we get the green flag. What are your thoughts about that and how the field is set for this opener?
It was an intense couple of dual races that we had, and they were very similar. You mentioned TJ Burst dominating the second half of each, and it was also very much caution-filled in both of those events. And will that transition into tonight is going to be a big question. Tonight is a longer race. There is 125 laps, and much like in the duels, we won't have a fast repair. So I wonder if guys will be a little bit more cautious in taking care of their race cars, trying to see if they can take the equipment to the end, knowing that they have much longer to try and get to the front of the field. But not knowing that this race is going to be in the sunlight, it also will bring a different dimension that those duels didn't have. Those duels were much later in the evening hours here at the Auto Club Speedway, so a much cooler track compared to what we're going to be seeing in the race here today. And that could spell some handling characteristics. Maybe some guys prefer it warmer. Some guys might struggle a little bit during the daylight. We'll just have to see when that time comes. And, you know, we have the starting lineup presented to us, which we'll get to once the cars are on the grid. Not every person that is in that list, of course, is here tonight, as sometimes, you know, guys are unable to make it on a week-to-week basis. But that's the general consensus that we have, and that's what the league's going to go off of. So when we get there, we have the starting lineup already submitted to us, and we'll get those to you as soon as possible. But Kenneth, the excitement, the anticipation, I just can't wait to take this green flag.
There is so much excitement as you watch drivers taking the final laps of warm-up. As the sun sets here in Fontana, California, they're going to have a big challenge on their hands. And speaking of Auto Club Speedway, Francisco, this track has been around since 1997, has hosted many NASCAR events, open wheel events as well, you name it. This track in Fontana, California is so brash, is so abrasive, and there's been a lot of rumors about whether it's going to be converted into a short track or really when it's going to be converted. But this 2-mile oval has a special place in many people's hearts, and it's going to be the stage for tonight's opener.
Yes, Auto Club Speedway, you will be missed. That 2-mile oval, it became a fan favorite as the years gone on, and when the track surface got old, a lot of fun racing there, and it's very fun on the sim. Drivers love it, and it's a shame if they really do get rid of it into a short track. I'm sure that racetrack, if they do it right, it will be very fun in its own way, but it just won't be the same as this 2-mile racetrack. And so many memories here, Kenneth, along the years. Jimmy Johnson being very dominant here, also having a win tying with Dale Earnhardt here as well. You think back to, I think it was Kyle Busch winning on the final lap between that mix-up with Joey Logano and Denny Hamlin, and of course also Busch winning the final race on the oval here in the Cup Series, and John Hunter Nemechek being the last one to do so in the Xfinity cars later that same evening, Kenneth. But I think what most people may not remember is that this racetrack was once in a movie. If you remember, it was called Ford versus Ferrari, and it was supposed to be Daytona, but you and I both know it was not Daytona.
They tried their best. I'm going to be honest. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. They did try their best. But Fontana, California, this Auto Club Speedway, boy, it is a beauty. So much fun to drive in real life, according to many of the drivers that have raced there. And in this sim, you feel the bumps on the back straightaway. It's quite like no other on the sim. But you have to couple a track with some sort of sky and some sort of weather right now in the end of warm-up. We've got about 5 minutes left. Currently track temperature at 66 degrees, air temp at 65, winds fairly strong to the west at about 9 miles an hour with partly cloudy conditions. But Francisco, in duel number 1, we took away 100 plus degree track temperatures. It was really, really hot. So as we move forward through this race, how are these drivers going to have to constantly adapt behind the wheel with the changing track conditions and the way this track abrasively handles the race car?
Well, we know that as the race goes on, it will get cooler because the sun will start going down. It'll be later in the day. So that is going to be happening naturally. How you can adapt to it and expect how it for it to go, how the handling of the car is going to change as the race goes, that will change how you're supposed to attack the racetrack. Maybe when it's warmer, you're supposed to drive it a little bit differently, maybe use a different line than if it were cooler, and make the sort of adjustments as you go because it will not stay stagnant the entire way through. And I think that's important to remember. What worked on lap 1 might not work on lap 125, and we won't know that until we see it happen for ourselves. A lot of guys mentioned that when the daylight is out, we might see a little bit more of the high side coming into play. But when the track is cooler, when there's a lot of grip in it, sometimes you have to go to the bottom of the racetrack because that's just the shortest way around the track and you're able to hold more throttle in it. So it's going to be interesting to see if we see that play out and just how exactly it'll play out. And we're just a handful of minutes away from these questions being answered.
So many obstacles that these drivers need to face, and we'll find out how they're able to do that in just a couple of minutes' time. We'll take a short break, but when we come back, we will have the starting grid and the green flag for the 4Wide Racing TJ's team opener from Auto Club Speedway. Welcome back to coverage of the 4Wide Racing TJ's Team Series opener here from the virtual Auto Club Speedway and coverage on the KBueno Racing Network. Kenneth Bueno and Francisco Bacallao to bring you all of the action. We are into the final 30 seconds of warm-up, so you're seeing drivers putting in some of their final laps before the entire session will switch. We'll head over to race trim and we will get the green flag. We'll see exactly what might happen. Francisco, there's so much on the plate between the changes in teams, changes in drivers, bringing in new ones, this new Xfinity Series car, Auto Club returning as the opener, and all in between. What are your thoughts before we officially get the green tonight?
there's a lot of questions that were asked going into this season over many things, over the cars, the new playoff format, the drivers coming into the season, the rookie drivers, and all of those questions are going to be answered as we move through the night. Not all of them will be answered tonight, but we will start getting a clearer picture as we move forward. And I'm just very excited to see what will be presented to us. We're going to have an interesting collection of field, a very big field here tonight, and that's very promising to start off the season with so many people, so many looking to try and see if they can start off the season just the right way. But we also know there's only one person at the end of the night who's going to be happy and victorious. So let's see who our 40 driver field consists of.
At about 40 drivers, it is severely packed here at Auto Club. The sun is out and the field is behind the iRacing official pace cars. So let's bring you trackside and get you to your starting grid for tonight's opener of the 4Wide Racing TJ's Team Series. On pole is Duel 1 and Duel 2 winner TJ Bursk in the number 94. He's got a sponsor for the first time tonight, so that's always good news. He will be leading this field to green alongside the number 3 of Eric Schaefer in row number 1. AJ Green in the 48, Season 3 champion of the series, will line up inside row number 2, and he's got the defending series champion Jaden Porter in the number 28 with a brand new look on his Ally Chevrolet. He starts his championship defense in P4 from Auto Club. Top 5 goes to the number 10 of Wyatt Brackett, joining Murray Reedy Motorsports, and on his outside, the California native Daniel Michel, looking to bring down a hometown win. Row number 4 features rookie driver Ethan Fonseca Moreno for KBueno Racing in the number 43, and the league owner Tyler Murray in the number 36. He joined us just a bit ago. He'll be starting in that 8th position, row number 4, and then come the final 2 inside our top 10, Jason Hastings in the number 49, and Patrick Thompson in the 88.
Nicholas Vazuzzi makes a return. He's going to be starting in 11th alongside Adam Alishire in that 91 in the P12 position. Craig Parks, another rookie, is going to be starting in 13th with Ryan Pandesino in the 14th position, and I mispronounced that for sure. Cody Kinsey is going to be in the 15th position alongside another rookie in the 8 car. The 16th, it goes to Mikey Neal. In the 17th spot, we have Joe Sanchez trying to come back and have another solid performance. Brandon Banks, your Championship 5 driver from last season, starts off in P18. Trevor Haley, another rookie, will start in the P19 position alongside veteran Tony Kivick in the 20th spot.
Row number 11 will feature Championship 5 driver from last season, Kyle Benson, sporting the 38 this year. He's got Jeff Noe, one of the rookie drivers for brand new team MTC Esports, on his outside in P22. Curtis Kelly in the 71 starts in 23rd. Michael Newbra alongside him in the 6 car in 24th position. Kevin D'Elia and Brady Cox, the 53 and the 78, line up row number 13 back to P26 before you find Ryan Steenbachers in the 79 and Travis Anderson, a member of TJ's team, in P28. Christopher Bishop in the 42 is 29th. Eric Stewart in the number 82 will round out your current top 30 on the grid.
Craig Lounslugger, another driver from that Championship 5 last season, is going to start 31st with another driver from that same Championship 5, Lawson Peel, looking to try and get a good start to his season. CJ Munier will start in the 33rd spot alongside Jesse Breeze in that 34th spot. We move down to the 35th position. It's another Tyler. It's Tyler Warner in the 33, going to be there in that position with Timothy Cook down in the 36th spot. Lance Hill, a poor effort in the duels will result in a 37th starting spot in that number 1 machine, alongside Austin Reedy, looking to try and see if he can capture another win in that 38th position. And that's going to be your final starter in this 38-car field here tonight, Kenneth. And wow, might I just say, it is awesome seeing cars on the racetrack again, knowing that tonight is the real deal. Tonight we have 125 laps in store for us tonight, and someone here is going to come away with a 4Wide Racing Cup Series win. We don't know who it's going to be yet, but our question will be answered hopefully in 125 laps.
That's part of the excitement, right? You see all the drivers on the grid, and you wonder, what if for this season? What can drivers accomplish? Who will end up on top by the time we reach Homestead Miami Speedway? And most importantly, who will make that first step by taking the checkered flag tonight? I think one thing is for certain, Francisco, I'm so glad that we haven't had the sim crash on us yet. We had that problem during coverage of the duels. Okay, well, hopefully when we get the green flag, we'll have the drivers actually get into turn 1 and not have a blank screen for all those watching on the KBueno Racing Network. But we, again, are so excited to have you a part of the action. It's our first ever coverage of 4 Wide since the ARCA series a long time ago here on KBRN. So we are very, very happy to have all of you watching at home, wherever you may be, as we get set for this opener of the 4 Wide Racing TJ's Team Series. TJ Bursk, the pole sitter, is going to be on the outside of the front row, so going to be interesting to see how he handles the driver behind him, defending champ Jaden Porter in the number 28. Eric Schaefer, we've seen a lot of highlights out of him during his time in the series. He's going to be pushed by Season 3 champion AJ Green in a brand new manufacturer for Stonks Motorsports, Toyota Supra, for the very first time. 125 laps, 250 miles on tap here from Fontana, California. We're ready to get lap number 1 underway here on the West Coast. It is TJ Bursk in the 94, Eric Schaefer in the 3, bringing them to the green flag, and the Season 6 4 Wide Racing TJ's Team Series is underway.
And off turn 4 to the first lap, and TJ Bursk leading lap number 1, a frisky opening lap. Several cars moving all over the racetrack, using this very wide racetrack to try and gain positions. All the way to the entrance, and then you see Eric Schaefer settling into that second spot. Jaden Porter blinking just a little bit. He's trying to battle for that third position. There you see the 48 of AJ Green on the outside. Daniel Michel's moved up into the top 5, Kenneth, but already early on in a spin, further back in the field, a crash. A couple of cars going around at the very back of the field. There you see a car slamming the inside wall. A couple of cars around the racetrack, and I think the 36 of Tyler Murray has caught some air there on the back straightaway. I saw the rear end of the car jack up. I'm not exactly sure how that happened. There you see the 24 of Travis Anderson involved there, but there you see that's actually the 38 of Kyle Benson. Those front row motorsports cars looking very similar there, but Kyle Benson, not the start of the season he wanted.
Severe damage on his Ford Mustang. You see the 89 of CJ Munier, he's already hit pit road. The 17 of Craig Parks also got some damage in that opening incident. It looks like the 24 Travis Anderson either barely got away from that or did pick up some damage. He was near the rear of the field when this bit of contact happened, and caution is out early on lap number 3. We'll see exactly what might have triggered this entire accident, but it was right out of turn 2, Francisco. That was the trouble spot for these drivers, and I saw Trevor Haley in the 4 get out of shape at first, but this is a look at what happened. 3/4 wide on the back straightaway.
So it looks like right there, the 4 cars drifting up the racetrack on exit, gets into the side of that 17 and spins down the racetrack. The 17 gets into the wall. Look at that impact for the rear of Kyle Benson, sending him up in the air, much like Carl Edwards did a couple years ago. A very vicious impact with the 89 of CJ Munier there, so we're right on board with him now. There you see him. The incident happens out front. He gets kind of a little bit of contact there, and then all of a sudden, wham! Right into the rear of that race car, sends him up into the air, and that's going to severely damage that race car, not just for him, but as well as CJ Munier. And we mentioned it in the pre-race, Kenneth, but it's important to mention this right now, considering how early in the race this is. No fast repair for any of these guys, so if they have significant damage, that's going to extremely hamper their race or absolutely end it.
And for the 38 of Benson, he's going to be on an uphill climb all night long. This was the first bit of contact between Trevor Haley and the 17 of Craig Parks, 2 of the rookie drivers here in this 4 Wide Racing TJ's Team Series for Season 6. And despite the contact that initially created the chaos, the 4 car does a nice job of keeping it off of the inside wall, and he's got pretty much no damage on his Ford Mustang, so he's going to be able to continue just fine. But for all of those other drivers involved in the incident, they're going to get a heap of damage, and the caution is out for the first time here from Auto Club. So we had a bit of racing at around third on back, but for first and second, that's already decided, much like it was on the starting grid. TJ Bursk leading this race, Eric Schaefer right behind him. And you brought up a very good point, Francisco. There are no fast repairs in this series, which means drivers like Kyle Benson, with the damage they accrued in that crash, they're going to have to spend all that time down pit road. And right now, it is climbing up to almost a minute on the pit box, probably looking at being at a lap down or more. And for a Championship 5 driver from last season, this is a heavy hit.
And considering I see no rear clip on that race car, Kenneth, it's going to be some extensive damage repairs as they see the zero freeze get back going once again. So that 38 is going to spend a bit of time on pit road, just making sure the car can go out there and actually move around the racetrack. I don't think that car is going to be as competitive as it was before with no rear clip like that. So there you see him actually going out back on the racetrack again, maybe completing the required repairs on that damaged 38 car, but still missing a rear clip. That car is not going to be as fast as what it was, and he's already lost at least a lap, Kenneth. So that 38 car is going to be hoping for some attrition because right now he is down outside the top 35. So to get a decent result here tonight, he's definitely going to need some attrition to try and help him boost him up the standings. You don't want to get yourself into a hole this early into the season. We mentioned how there's no win and in format anymore. It's all about points. He knows how he made the playoffs last season, Kenneth. I'm sure somewhere the competitor in him does not want to have to go back to that same kind of problem. He wants to be able to make sure that he gets in on his own right.
He spent a lot of Season 5 with his back up against the wall. Of course, with the unforeseen circumstance of tearing his ACL, the things that happened to him in that year, still managed to get to the Championship 5. But you're right, Francisco, the fact that right now he is on that uphill climb, he's got his back against the wall. Again, he does not want that to continue to be the trend over the season, where that points format is really going to punish you if you don't play consistently throughout the year. That 38 car is going to rejoin the field in P34 and make that around 3 to 4 Murray Reedy Motorsports Ford Mustangs that are beneath the top 30, of course, including Tyler Warner, Christopher Bishop, and Austin Reedy, who started 38th and dead last in tonight's opener. Pace car is down to the left. TJ Bursk will be helped by Daniel Michel. They'll get into the restart zone, and an early hop on the gas pedal for DJ Bursk, and we're back under green from Auto Club, lap number 5.
That leader just has such an advantage being able to watch whatever they decide, and it's up to the rest of the field to just kind of judge, and it's tough to guess. You don't want to go before them, but you have to kind of react most of the time, and unfortunately from second on back, it's a tough time having to guess to the leader, and AJ Green able to slice his way up in front of Eric Schaefer, so move him up to P2. There you see him off the rear bumper of that 48 down towards that number 3 going into turn 3. Jaden Porter looking to the inside, unable to get there. Daniel Michel's going to try and roll that outside and see if he can battle Porter for that 4th position.
Trying to get there, but he'll get in the draft, and they're going to be both single file, but here comes a challenge for the race lead. AJ Green had a big run out of turn 4. He looks to the inside of the 94 for the lead entering turn 1. Question is, will he have it? The answer is an immediate yes. AJ Green, Season 3 champ, new race leader.
Up into the front of the field, and we saw him very fast in the most recent race. We saw him in Kenneth back at Homestead. He was able to take it the way there, so picking up right where he left off, close to the front of the field, trying to see if he can finish one spot higher, as there's the 20 to Porter. He got passed by the 25 on the previous lap, and behind him now, side by side, is one of his rookie teammates, that 43, Ethan Fonseca Moreno, up in the San Jose area in California, trying to see if he can take a home state win. He's got some work to do, as there's the 91 of Alshire moving to the outside, helping that 10 car try and get around him.
The KBueno Racing teammates working together. Contact up in the front. TJ Bursk, I got hit. He went sideways, but he did save it. AJ Green is going to remain in the lead, but now the 94 is trapped in the middle, 3 wide.
And the outside had to check up. Here comes Porter and Fonseca Moreno to the inside.
The 28 going to get the help from the 43. Might have the advantage on Daniel Michel. Almost make it 4 wide as the 91 of Adam Alshire comes out of nowhere in turn 4.
Almost before lap 10, Kenneth, and we're already living up to the series name of 4 wide in the middle of 3 and 4. And there's Alshire giving help to the 25 of Daniel Michel, another California driver. He'll move up now to P2, as we'll get a replay on what exactly happened as we were focusing on that battle behind. It looks like a little bit of drafting going wrong. Eric Schaefer was pushing the driver of the 94 and just kind of too late into the corner. I think the 94 might have checked up at that point, and Schaefer was still going, and you see exactly what happened there, and it resulted in a big checkup. And there you see now the move being made towards the outside of the 94 once again. Michel still trying to get around him, and there's the 91 of Alshire just running a little bit higher. He'll get to the outside. What a run off the corner, and almost into the outside wall, but hard racing here for second.
You got to be really careful, though, because as you're going side by side, AJ Green is slowly and surely pulling away. The 25 has no help on the inside, and draft is going to be a big topic of conversation, Francisco. Here at a track like this, it's 2 miles long, you've got multiple lanes of usage, and you're spending a lot of time on the throttle. You need to make sure you have some sort of drafting help. And you've talked about it before, how this is different than the next-gen car in terms of side draft, but in terms of overall draft, you're going to need it. But right now, neither the 91 nor the 25 have any.
It's not as effective as well as it is with the next gens and the Gen 6s. It's just a little bit less powerful, but it's still there and it still plays a role, especially when you get a couple cars lined up towards one side of another car. Then you'll see that difference really start to play a different factor. But that 25 and 91, they're battling hard for second. And there you see the 25 try to slide up in front of the 91, but riding up towards that outside wall is Adam Alishire. He'll get the run off the corner, and there you see the 25 have to leave him some space, so it's a drag race down the back straightaway. Alishire will get a little bit of that draft that we mentioned off your race leader and see if that can pull him towards turns 3 and 4, running towards the middle of the racetrack now. Michel trying to move him up, and you see they're racing each other, but that leader isn't able to get entirely away. It's not because of draft, but it's just they're not really losing that much time, and look who's popped up into the 4th position now with that 43 car.
He's got a bit of help from TJ Burris, who's hanging in the background of all of this. EP5, Brandon Banks in the 54, mind you, also has made his way into the top 10, rolling P6 as it stands. And Ethan hit me up on Discord before the race began a couple of hours and said, hey, I saw your paint that you run on the next-gen car. Is it okay if I run it? So I sent him the TGA file, and this is the recipe for success, I guess. The KBueno Racing Network, Chevrolet Camaro. I mean, obviously biased, Francisco, I am, because this is a scheme that I made for my next-gen car when I run on the sim, because I always want to promote the KBueno Racing Network. Ethan Fonseca Moreno running this for his first 4Wide Racing TJ's Team Series event. It's a good-looking Chevrolet Camaro, and it's bad fast right now, and the top 3 are clustering up. Moreno's going to try to follow.
He's closing in, and for that matter, so is TJ Burke and everybody else behind. They're not really able to get away that much, but they are running different lines. Look at each one of those drivers. They're each running a different line, and that's what we like to see out of this racetrack, especially now while the sun is out. At this point in the race, you're able to go to these other places, make up a bit of time, use it to try and gain an advantage on somebody who's maybe not able to do so as well. But here, further back in the field, it is a cesspool of a mess of race cars, of people trying to argue over position in the lower portions of the field. There you see that 8 car of Mikey Neal with the 55 of Joe Sanchez. That's for the top 15. There you see the 36. That's Tyler Murray, your league owner, trying to see if he can battle to get inside the top 10.
You see Jaden Porter there, Eric Schaefer, 2 of those drivers who started near the front of the field, starting to fall back at the 10 of Brackett, the 36 of Murray. Now you make it Sanchez in the 55, the 71 of Curtis Kelly. A lot of those drivers starting to make an impact here 14 laps in. So as this run develops, tires are going to start to wear. We're going to see who's going to come and go as a result. And so far, it looks like the 28 a bit on the back foot now, starting to fall back. Got some drivers there giving him some pressure for some positions. Now, mind you, there were a lot of drivers that moved up from the back of the field, one of them being Lawson Peel, who was the Season 4 champion of this series. Won 7 races in that year, won basically equal the amount of races in Season 5, made the championship 5, and unfortunately did not get the trophy. A checkered flag at Homestead of Miami Speedway, but it's a brand new look. Extra sponsor on his Chevrolet Camaro, still sporting the Drinking Bros Racing number 12 we've grown accustomed to see, and he's up to 17.
And he mentioned to us, Kenneth, when we talked to him at the finale last year, that when he found out that the Xfinity cars were going to be used, he admitted it was going to be a challenge for him, that he's not as comfortable with these race cars as he is the next gens, doesn't have the same amount of seat time, but he was willing to bring on that challenge, willing to try and get better and relish the opportunity to try and see what he can learn in the race car. And you have to appreciate that out of Lawson Peel. You think about the success that he's had the last 2 seasons with the different race car, and how much of a change it would be for him to go from being that dominant to maybe struggling a little bit more. But hearing from him himself saying that he'll like this opportunity just to see what he can learn upon, you definitely love to hear a driver say that. It looks like the 43 of Moreno had to have an issue further down in the field right now than he was a little bit earlier. Maybe got passed, but certainly losing positions here, and he's now under fire from a couple more cars.
And Lawson Peel, you were talking about it there, his sense of trying to learn as much as possible, coupled with his very calm and composed driving style. His nickname to many is the Iceman, just because he doesn't really show a lot of emotion, but he is super fast. He gets behind the wheel of a race car no matter what it is, and so him basically asking to welcome the challenge of these Xfinity Series cars for this season. It shows you just how adaptive of a driver he is and just how composed he is at learning new obstacles and trying to overcome them. Now, as he moves up into the 17th spot, he continues to try and weave his way through the field. It's been a slow progression here, lap number 17, but we'll keep an eye on the Season 4 champion of the series. We've got a battle for the race lead. The 25 of Daniel Michel has spent a lot of time behind this 48. He's had enough of it to the inside in turn 1.
He wants to take the lead at his home racetrack, and AJ Green is denying it for now. Green able to roll that upper lane and carry that momentum down the back straightaway. And there AJ Green is able to hold position, so Michel will tuck back in for now. We'll see if he goes back to the bottom here in 3 and 4. He actually doesn't, but AJ Green will do so, trying to see if he can cancel out whatever advantage the 25 has by advancing on the bottom. And you see him able to hold on for now, but that 91 of Alashire is staying close enough to try and challenge.
He's staying there at the moment. He's going to go to the inside, so he'll try and give some of that support to the 25 down the front straightaway, but it looks like it won't be enough to give the 25 the race lead for certain. And TJ Burns, who we saw lead this race from the front, he has just been hanging around in that P4 spot. Not much to write home about as of the moment, but it may be good enough to survive on the long run. And if he can be there by lap number 30, by lap 40, once we get into green flag stops, if we get to that point, that 94 is going to be in the conversation, and this top 5 or so are clustering out of turn 4. The 25 stays on the inside of the race leader 48, and the 94 has the draft of the 91, 2 by 2, going back to turn 1.
It's kind of impressive that they aren't really separating away from each other. You'd think that with a car with this little downforce, that they'd be able to separate a little bit more and have a lot of spread, but no, this wouldn't be any different than one of those next gen races or Gen 6 races. They're very close together and very packed together right now, but there's not that super draft effect that those race cars have. This just comes down to the line they're running and the tire wear right now, as AJ Green was able to hold off that battle from Michel and now move TJ Bursk up into the 3rd position. So a couple of switches up here in the top 5, but really good battles up in the front of the field right now. Kenneth Brackett has moved his way up into the 6th position, trying to see if he can get up into the top 5 as well. Mikey Neal's gotten back into the top 10 after losing a couple positions. James Gordon down to the 15th spot. But Lance Hill has really made a gain in this race, Kenneth. He started towards the second to last row of the field, and he's now inside the top 20, right behind Austin Field. There you see him right there in that one car, trying to see if he can work his way up through the field again, and a spinner further back.
Now one car around near the rear of the field, and it is Austin Reedy, driver of the 34. It looks like he did hit the wall on the inside of the racetrack, but he is under the racing line, so we are going to stay green, and this night has gone from bad to worse, Francisco. The driver of the 34 started dead last in this field, almost about got caught up in that incident on lap number 3, and now heavy rear-end damage as he'll try to limp it to pit road.
And that's another Murray Reedy Motorsports driver to get caught up in an incident tonight. Kyle Benson was the first, and this is another one now. And you don't want to see this if you're that team. Not the start they were hoping for with these Ford Mustangs. And you see a little bit of 3-wide racing going on up there. And wow, goes up on his side right there as he hit that safer barrier wall that kind of kicks out right there. An incredible hit there. We'll see a different look at it on board. We're here inside the roll cage of that 34 machine. You see, kind of goes up the racetrack, but Patrick Thompson's there, and here he goes around, locks it down, and boom, with the right front right into the wall. An incredible impact that not in an incredibly high speed area of the racetrack, kind of, because that's coming off the corner, but that's still a remarkable impact.
A huge hit to that inside safer barrier, and that might just send Austin Reedy home in this first race. We saw what happened to his teammate Kyle Benson on the opening incident on the back straightaway, and he's still in this race, but we had 2 casualties now be DNFs here. Craig Parks in the 17, his rookie start does not go the way he planned it to be. In the 89 of CJ Mounier, both of them out of the race. Austin Reedy will fall 2 laps down as the field comes back to turn 1, now in the hands of TJ Bursk, who was hanging around the top 3 for a fat minute until finally got around AJ Green and Daniel Michel. Now those three leading the field on the inside of 1 and 2. When you look at the AJ Green and Daniel Michel duo, both of them finished inside the top 10, Francisco. Last time we were here at Auto Club Speedway, mind you, it was with the next-gen cars, but it shows you not only their strength as drivers, but their adaptability. They've been able to really get used to these Xfinity Series cars, and they're using their experience and their pace to their advantage. And we saw the 25 do pretty much everything at Auto Club last time we were here under the lights. He was on the outside ripping the wall. He was on the inside. He was in the middle. He was fighting for the lead. He was putting on a show. It looks like tonight, no different, but they've fallen to the 94.
Drivers have a way of being good at their home racetrack, Kenneth, regardless of who it is, and Daniel Michel, no exception. He enjoys racing at home. He knows that he can just drive to the racetrack instead of flying there, and he's trying to see if he can capture an opportunity to win a race. He was able to get that win at Road America last season, Kenneth, with that exciting finish with the last lap pass on Lawson Field, but right now his focus on trying to get a win on an oval at his home racetrack, and he's got 100 laps before he can do that, but so far so good for him in that top 3. You see Lawson Field now trying to move up. This is for the 12th position to try and get past teammate Joe Sanchez, and going into turn 1 looks like Sanchez might just give that one to him for now, so Lawson Field almost into the top 10.
Well, we'll get around his Drinking Bros teammate, which have expanded that team to 2 different camps. So you've got about 4 or 5 drivers on each team. Lawson Field and Joe Sanchez a part of that group. Brandon Banks, you've got obviously the Eric Schaefer machines, Michael Newball, the team captain, Jesse Breeze joining the field. Craig Parks in the 17, who unfortunately had that incident taking him out of the race. Eric Stewart in the 82 is a part of the team. And then you have Jason Hastings for Drinkin' Bros Racing 2 with Sanchez, Peel, Cody Kinsey, Tony Kibbett, and CJ Munier, who also is out of this race. So DBR has fully expanded, Francisco, and that could spell trouble to the rest of the field, mind you. We have mentioned so many times the level of competition between the different teams in this series. Drinkin' Bros Racing at one point had about 3 or so drivers in the championship 5 back in season 4. You have Stonks Motorsports, the foothold they've put on the field for a little while. And then you've got KBueno Racing winning the title last season. Murray Beatty Motorsports have been so good as of late. So when you look at the different teams, and DBR, I guess they just saw the challenge from everybody else and said, we're going to expand. We're not going to let anybody have a shot at that championship.
So much so they just went flatline with it and called it DBR1, DBR2. Normally they have a satellite name, but no, they just said, no, this is the SpongeBob movie. We'll just name it 1 and 2. Yes, exactly.
And Peel's doing a fantastic job. Look at him slide into 10th here,
pass.
right in front of Tyler Murray, and he's going to get a 2-for-1 most likely. That's the 49 of Jason Hastings. So at the moment, it looks like it's not really a challenge at all, Francisco, or whether Lawson Peel can rip this next-gen car, or rather this Xfinity Series car, around Auto Club. He could do it with a next-gen car. He won the last time we were here. Now he's moving underneath Jason Hastings for 9th.
And a lot of this car does come down to tire saving, especially. If you can save your tires really good, it rewards itself. For almost 25 laps into this green flag run since the initial caution of the race. So to see him still be able to make moves like this, he's still a bit away from the leader in terms of being able to get up there. But the fact that he's gone from where he started to this part of the field is very impressive to see out of him. As there you see Ethan still battling away with Eric Schaefer. That's for the 6th position, as there's your top 5 all together on the racetrack. Haven't really been able to break away. The 55 or the 54 with Brandon Banks in that Reese's machine has gotten his way up there as well. But Mikey Neal has made an appearance. He had moved it back up into the top 10 a handful of laps ago, and all of a sudden he's up in this top 5 battle.
And Mikey Neal ended up in the top 10, the only rookie driver to make it into that group of drivers in duel number 2. Boy, he's put on a show. He's bearing the rookie stripes for KBueno Racing, and might have a move here made on the 54 of Brandon Banks. He's got the outside dialed up. He has the draft of the 25 right in front. The question is, can he officially complete this pass? The Carolina Hurricanes Chevrolet Camaro brewing up a storm here into turn number 3 as he gets on the outside of the 54 and still side by side for that 4th spot. He's got it.
And look at that move he made. He moved down enough on the racetrack to force Banks to have to back out of that one to avoid sliding up into him, and that'll give him not just the position, but the momentum down the entire front straightaway, more than securing that spot for the next handful of corners and trying to see if he can now catch up to that 25 of Daniel Michels. There you see the 94 all the way to the outside wall, getting extremely up there, didn't hit it, but he went as high as you want to try and go up there on the racetrack. There you see Banks now has fallen to that battle with Schaefer, as now you're on board with your race leader, looking back at AJ Green as he runs around this racetrack. And Kenneth, like I said earlier in this race, everybody's using a different line. You don't really see everybody using the exact same line. All sorts of lines are being used right now.
Everyone is experimenting here at Auto Club Speedway, and that's the magic of a track like this. You have so many options available to you. You can take either line and still be as fast as possible. AJ Green still trying to break the defense of the 94, and as you watch TJ Bursk rip the wall here at Auto Club Speedway, boy, that is a beauty to see him get that close to the safer barrier and still not hit it. Mike Neal in a fight with the 25 of Daniel Michel, and boy, this has turned into a cluster, because you look at Eric Schaefer and Ethan Fonseca Moreno making it a 5-car battle. How about 3 wide? That's a PBR sandwich Michel was stuck in.
And a huge dive from the 43 to try and go to the inside, but it'll work out for now. He'll stay side by side with the 25. Looks like Mikey Neal with a little bit of a blink there, but they'll remain racing here off of turn 4 as a couple of cars diving onto pit road as we're approaching the fuel window.
The North Carolina native AJ Green coming on a pit road first. He's going to bring in Brandon Banks and a couple of others on a pit road. Looks like Eric Schaefer, some of the Drinking Bros Racing Chevrolets making their way in. The 91 of Adam Alashire, and make that a huge group of drivers. Joe Sanchez, Tyler Murray, Jason Hastings, you name it. Large pack of cars coming in for pit road, this time by TJ Bursk, is going to lead the field by 1.2 seconds. And as we hop into lap number 34 of 125, this is what we were thinking about, Francisco. Green flag pit stops for the first time in the first race. TJ Bursk is going to lead the rest of the pack on in.
And look at that dive by Mikey Neal to the inside to try and gain those positions before getting onto pit road, and he'll do so. He'll get ahead of those 2 cars he was battling. But we'll see a difference here, Kenneth, between the cars that pitted on lap 32 and those that pitted on lap 33. A lot more came in on 32, and whilst one lap will make a difference out on the racetrack in terms of where they'll exit, those guys that waited a lap will have a slight advantage in the early portion of the following run. They might have just that little bit of extra tire life to gain a 10th or 2 as they start to age. As there you see the cars exiting the racetrack, racing each other now as they work their way into 3 and 4, and then we'll cut back to see those that had just pitted, and we should see them start to make their way off of pit road. As there you see a couple more now working their way back onto the pit road. There you see the 88 of Patrick Thompson being one of them, and it looks like those drivers that pitted on lap 32 will get ahead of those that pitted later on, as it looks like the 2 car there having a little bit of a slow pit road. And there you see TJ Bursk is exiting. There's AJ Green. That's the advantage he built up by pitting a 1 lap. It works out to about 2 seconds. That's about right. But now TJ Bursk has that 1 lap fresher tires, which it won't make a difference between now and lap 40, but it will make a difference between now and when they have to pit again.
And how quickly can TJ Bursk get up to AJ Green, possibly pass him, get back the race lead with the gaps that have now come up with the difference in strategy. In the 48 of Green has now been able to move up to the front. He's got the net race lead, but the actual race lead still in charge by Timothy Cook. And boy, he's in a group of cars. The 14 of Jeff Noe and the 14 of Tyler Warner there in the 33. It looks like a big stack up with the fresh tire cars, and this is going to get interesting when you have a track this rough, a surface this abrasive, and it eats up tires over a long run. You're going to have this difference in speed. Might pressure some of those staying out up until this point to come in. That 29 looks like he's going to be the next one to enter the pit lane. See the flames coming out of the right side exhaust port. The 14 of Jeff Noe. We're not sure whether he's going to come in with this 29. He won't. Timothy Cook might just be the only one on this lap to come in. 36 laps down here from Auto Club.
It'll be interesting to see how far they go, because I'm not exactly sure what the fuel window is, Kenneth. I'm not sure if any of these guys were those that pitted on that first caution and maybe topped off. That will certainly play a role as to how far they can make it. But if the window is about 35 laps, give or take, then it should be a 3-stop race more or less if the math works out right. And as of right now, we're still in a pretty decent green flag run. We made it through the first cycle of green flag pit stops, so we still have a ways to go, but we'll see just exactly how it works out. There's TJ Burst. He's already getting up to the back of that 54 of Brandon Banks. He's about half a second off closing in. So like I said, it wasn't going to be a tire difference that you'll see in a matter of 5 laps, but it'll make its way throughout this run. He should start to close in on the 54 and in due time get past that 54, and then at that point it's just about saving your tires and get up to that race leader. That strategy call of staying out a lap later, it helps out with your fuel if you end up trying to play some sort of strategy call for a caution later in this race.
We know exactly what he employed on that first run, right, where he backed out, let some of the drivers in front of him take hold of the lead. He stayed in 3rd or 4th for most of that run. He saved those Goodyear Eagles and then slowly but surely picked off the ones fighting for the lead. And there he was leading the race up until the first round of stops, and he gets a huge run out of turn 2 and might have something for the 54 Brandon Banks before we get into turns 3 and 4. Might have the inside on the Risa Chevrolet, but he's going to stay behind, and AJ Green officially assumes the race lead as everybody has hit pit road for the first time under green. It's a green flag stop cycle here from Auto Club Speedway. We'll take a short break, but you won't miss a thing of the action as we continue coverage on the KBueno Racing Network. AJ Green leading the field here from Auto Club Speedway, 42 laps into the 125 lap opener here for season 6 of the 4Wide Racing TJ's Team Series. Glad to have you back on the coverage here from the KBueno Racing Network. Kenneth Bueno and Francisco Bacallao along with you for the ride, and the 94 of TJ Bursk is only about half a second off of your race leader. Green did pit first on the round of green flag stops. TJ Bursk pitted about a lap or so later, and now the fresh tires are starting to favor the 94. He is slowly creeping on the Drido Gang Toyota Supra for Stonks Motorsports. And AJ Green, we had a bunch of drivers submit their personalities, submit certain things, their ages, where they're from, So we got a little more information on who the drivers are for this series, and we can give you a little more of their personalities. We had one of the questions be your most useful iRacing skill. AJ Green said, I'm able to make people mad really easily. I'm sure he's probably making some of the field mad at this stage of the race with that undercut, but looks like TJ Bursk might have some sweet revenge with the pace that he's putting on right now.
Yeah, there's all sorts of skills you'll find on iRacing, and if anything that can give you a competitive advantage to help you win, I say that's a good one to have. And AJ Green right now been one of the dominant cars here tonight, along with that 94 of TJ Burst. Those two started up in the front of the field, and they haven't really been outside of the top 3 positions all night for that matter. So good job by those two. And Brandon Banks started inside the top 10, but he's worked his way up into the top 5. And there's Lawson Field, who started way back outside the top 30. He just passed Ethan Fonseca Moreno to move up into that 4th position. So Lawson Field hasn't been flashy tonight, but he's gotten up towards the front now. So we'll just have to see, can he get up towards those top 3 cars and how long it'll take him to do so. Because there you see Banks now on the bottom of your screen. He just about went into turn 3, and there's Lawson Field just heading that train that was being led by the 43.
28 spots that Lawson Field has gained since the drop of the green. In this race, he still has some pressure from the 43 of Ethan Fonseca Moreno, but the Season 4 champion, who has picked up 14 wins total in the last 2 seasons of this series, could have been looking for win number 1 in Season 6. Meanwhile, battle for the lead already decided. TJ Burst to the front, back to the lead. AJ Green still having an option to respond. He'll keep his nose there in 1 and 2. Brandon Banks is going to slowly creep up on that 48 Supra. The 94 continues his dominance here from Auto Club Francisco. It looks like he has not skipped a beat at all from either duel from last week.
Yes, we've seen this out of TJ Burst before, and not just within the duels, and not just with these Xfinity cars, but we saw it with the Gen 6s when we last saw him run at Auto Club, to our knowledge, which was back in Season 3. He was one of the fastest cars in that race as well. Of course, didn't win the race in that particular situation. It was a late restart. We saw Colin Forrester take the win in that particular instance. But the driver of the 94 was the fastest car in that race, and he was very much competitive in that effort. And here tonight, he's doing the exact same thing. As there you see now, the 25 of Michaud lost a bit of positions on that green flag cycle. He's now battling away with the number 3 of Eric Schaefer. This is just inside the top 10. As there you see, just ahead are a couple of teammates in Ethan and the number 8 of Mikey Neal battling away for position. And that 25 not giving up quite yet. He's holding that outside lane on Eric Schaefer, and he's able to pull away on the front straightaway to see if he can clear going into 1.
Eric Schaefer looking for a rebound here at Auto Club Speedway. Last time we were here 5 months ago, March of 2023. Make that more so 5 or 6 months ago. Eric Schaefer finished 15 in this race. Not the worst standing out of everybody in the field, but certainly wasn't one he wanted to remember. The driver of the 3 currently 8th right now, looking to at least get a better finish or a win to try and get him set forward for the playoffs this year. And Schaefer has been an experienced driver that has won at some of these bigger tracks. He won at Indianapolis prior in this series. He's also won a race at Pocono, and he's also won a race at Bristol. He's been a multi-time winner in this series. He had 2 wins back in season number 5. So he knows a thing or two about getting to victory lane. Right now, though, things are not cooking up in his favor as he tries to hang on for a spot in the top 10. And Adam Alashire is getting the hole in the wall. He tried to force the 3 down there. Almost made a move on the outside. The 3 shut the door right out of turn 2.
Just didn't have enough grip to really power around the outside and force the 3 to give him that space. Schaefer kind of shut it off as they were coming off the corner, but now Alashire will dial it up on the bottom and see if he can slide up in front of Schaefer on corner exit, and he'll be able to do so. There you see him go up, does not hit the wall, but now Schaefer will get a bit of a run down the front straight and will actually push him. There you see the contact towards the rear bumper of Alashire's car. That'll go down towards turn 3. Schaefer will peek down to the bottom. He won't take it. He'll just run the outside.
To be a little patient, try to get this run out of turn 2. And you look at the background, the Paul Setup Shop Camaro of Joe Sanchez, who last season forfeited a playoff spot due to the fact that he could not make all of the races all the way to Homestead Miami Speedway, obviously looking for a full-time effort this year. Savannah builds up for 12th. Michael Newbraw in the 6th, one of the Drinking Bros Racing Chevrolets, up against the Murray Reedy Motorsports 36 of Tyler Murray. Tony Kivett right behind them, almost 3 wide action out of turn 4. The wheelman effort by Newbraw to keep that Chevrolet pointed right. The 36 of Murray will take that spot. They'll stay in 12th for now.
That 6 car has a nice paint scheme to it, and I'm definitely saying that because of the color scheme.
Yep, I knew you were gonna point it out. I was gonna point it out at first, but I was like, let me hold back and see if Francisco says anything about it.
Yep.
I think apart from that KBueno car, probably the best scheme that I've seen so far this evening. It's hard to pick favorites because I know Tyler has shown us some of the paints that he's got prepped for Murray Reedy Motorsports this year, and they are absolute bangers. The BBR guys have had beautiful paint schemes in the duels, and they've shown it to us as well. But this one by Michael Newbraw is a gem here in the Sunset Auto Club as he tries to hold on to what is now 14th above rookie driver Trevor Haley.
That 76 car just in front of them did strike the outside wall coming out of turn 4, and it's going to allow that the 36 to make a move towards the inside. Trying to stay off of him though, and you see just how tight it is when you get into these older tires, just trying to keep the grip up, and you see him having to lift, and it's going to cost him a lot of time to that 76, and it'll now allow Michael Newbraw to maybe make a move going into turn 3. We'll see if he has an opportunity to do so. Unable to really do anything right there, but Murray doing a solid job. He's up in the 13th position, and he hasn't really made any noise, but that's certainly a better job than what happened the last couple of seasons with the next-gen race car. He was struggling a lot with that race car, but someone who's struggling here tonight right now, Kenneth, defending champ Jaden Porter down in 18th.
Jaden Porter has not been able to get back to the front. Remember, he started up there in the top 5 and has since fallen back. We noted his early fall off, but as that first green flag cycle went underway and officially got completed, Porter has not been able to get back on the right foot, stuck in 17th right now as we watch the 76 of Tony Kivett, the Paul Setup Shop Camaro, trying to catch up to Kevin D'Elia right in front in the 11th spot, that orange and black Toyota Supra you see far off in the distance. And the 76, Tony Kivett, born in Southern Maryland, that's where he's from, and has a very distinct story to why he runs the number that you're seeing on track right now. He used to race at Old Dominion Speedway in Manassas, Virginia, also raced in the Grand Stock Division with his brother. His father also used to race at the track in the Limited Sportsman Series. His brother and Tony at the time ran the number 7. His dad ran the 76, and that's why Tony runs the 76 in this 4-wide series and across all the leagues that he participates in iRacing. So a really cool story for Tony Kivett, a driver that we've seen be in so many seasons and editions of this 4-wide Racing TJ's Team Series, whether it is a Gen 6 car, a next-gen car, or the Xfinity car. So it's really cool to see Tony Kivett back in action here for Season 6. But I do want to touch quickly on Jaden Porter here, Francisco, and his fall-off. Are you sure that it might just be either an acclimation issue or possibly just a circumstance issue with the way that Porter has handled this race up until this point?
I'm not really sure because he was
There's
up
some
in the
damage
front.
on the left rear, too.
It does look like there's some damage. I was going to ask if there was damage on the race car because he was in the front in the early portion of that previous run. We saw him battling the likes of Ethan when that moment happened between the front couple of cars. And there you see it right there. A good bit of left rear damage. I'm not sure where this happened. And I'm also not sure if this would cause them to be down this far back. But certainly with this race car and with this damage model, I wouldn't put it past this being the reason why he's this far down the running order. At the end of the day, I don't know for sure. I'm not the driver inside that race car, and I'm not too familiar with the new damage model, but certainly a possibility. We'll just have to keep an eye on this 28.
It's been tough so far for him, but luckily he's got some cars up in front that he can take a bite at and possibly be able to pick up some of that lost track position. Tyler Murray's in the middle of this. Look at the contact between Craig Lautenslager and Michael Newbraw entering turn 3. Trevor Haley's on the bottom of this as well. That could have easily created our second caution of the night from Auto Club. It did not, but that's good news for Porter. He's going to make up a lot of time here.
It is going to help him, and right now they're still battling away for position, so it should allow him to close up to this group of cars. And we'll just see what he does as facing the 4 Trevor Haley now to the inside of Lautenslager for position.
They were almost 3 wide for a moment. That 6 car is going to hold on to the 13th spot. They're going to go door to door for about 14th and 15th. That'll be settled out quickly. So 5 cars in a grouping before we get to Tony Kimmett in that P12 spot. Boy, things have been absolutely hectic here from Auto Club between these 4 or 5. And we'll see what happened here on the back straightaway, Francisco. This was the bit of contact. They got the 6 sideways, and it was the 13 that got into him. Oh, look like the 46 started it.
Yeah, that looks exactly like what we saw in the duel, Kenneth, but that was on the front straightaway. It was the car behind the driver leading the outside lane, just kind of off center, and gets into the car on the lower lane and sends him up into the car in front of him. Except that time they didn't cause a crash in that instance. So good heads up move by all of them to be able to keep that straight, but that is not the first time we've seen this during speed weeks.
Definitely not. And that instance that you mentioned between Benson and Banks, that caused a huge crash in turns 1 and 2. Thankfully, that did not get anyone involved in a crash. We are going to stay green here at lap number 59. But just as quickly as we wrapped up the first bit of green flag stops, Francisco, we are approaching the second round of it. We saw these drivers go around 33 to 35 laps on the tank of fuel. And we're getting to that fuel window where the leaders, most notably AJ Green and company, are going to start to head in. So we keep an eye on that as we watch Lawson Peel hold on to 4th, and that's rookie Mikey Neal trying to take that spot.
He's right there. He's been able to hang on with Lawson Peel, and so is Ethan for that matter. On the long run, in this particular run, it's worked out better for the driver, the 8 and the 43. They've kind of kept toes with that 12 car, and they're holding position right here. This is the edge of the top 5, and top 6 or so cars have kind of pulled away from the rest of the field, and that's where they are right now. They're within about 2.5 seconds of the race leader, so a good tight enough battle right now for the top couple of positions, and all it takes is for one solid pit stop, depending on what lap you pit, how aggressive you're on the entry, and it could put you first, but it also could put you down in 6th or even lower if it's a really catastrophic stop, but no one will be hoping for that. As we now hit lap 60, Kenneth, this means we're about going ready to see pit stops within about 5 laps or so. They went 33 or so, but remember, there was a caution in that period, so you have to think sometime within the next 5 laps, the entire field will cycle through.
And we'll have everybody come in for pit road, and we saw guys like Timothy Cook, Ryan Steenbachersby, some of those drivers to stay out longer than anyone else. We'll see if that happens in the same fashion as we approach this second round of green flag pit stops. Biggest mover so far has been Lawson Peel, and the Season 4 champion from Columbus, Mississippi is certainly an interesting one. We call him the Iceman due to his cool and calm nature out on the racetrack. He says his most useful iRacing skill is this: long green flag runs and some tight setups as well. This is the bread and butter for a driver like Lawson Peel, as he almost hits the outside wall trying to defend against Mikey Neal in the 8 car. He always says smooth and steady, wins out, and he's also on the side, Francisco, I'm sure you'll love this, an avid simulation flyer on Microsoft Flight Simulator. So he is an aviation enthusiast, and he says he's become a very capable sim pilot. So I guess that's something cool, an extra bit of information about Lawson Peel. So not only does he know how to rip the wheel behind a race car, he also knows how to rip the yoke if he takes a flight somewhere on Sim Simulator.
Yeah, I mean, that's awesome to see out of Lawson Peel, and he's not the only person we know that takes an interest in that. Of course, Parker White, Coke Series driver, we know him, and he enjoys the exact same things as well. So I'll just have to ask Lawson in my own personal time, what's his preference? Because I'm a Boeing guy, so I got to make sure of the real questions.
Man. We're not gonna get into this debate again. I've told you. I know. I'm usually an Airbus guy. You're a Boeing guy. We've clashed heads a couple times as Joe Sanchez comes down pit road. He's gonna bring his teammate Brandon Banks with him. So some of the early stops here, lap number 63 on this run, but I guess that's going to be the winning question. If Lawson Peel finishes in the top 3, it's going to be the last thing I ask him. Maybe you ask him here, and if he gives that answer, it's either going to be a big hooray or a big boot out of the
make or break, really.
Yeah. So here comes a 54 in and out of pit road. There's another driver, Ford Mustang, coming in. It looks like the leaders are also coming in. Collectively, AJ Green and TJ Bursk are going to come in 1-2. And it looks like they will bring another driver with them. That is the 3 of Eric Schaefer. So this is an interesting call, Francisco, because TJ waited out an extra lap when AJ Green came in the first time. Now they're both coming in synchronizing fashion. So we'll see how that battle shakes out.
And this is an interesting portion of the race as well, Kenneth, because that sun is starting to set and it's getting lower and lower, which means the track temperature's cooling off a bit. There's going to be more grip in it. The tires will wear at a lesser rate. They'll still wear in terms of how much time you lose, but it's going to be important to see just how they go about it. And there you see the 8 car will stay out compared to the 12 and the 43. And look how aggressive Ethan is getting on a pit road. He's going to lock it up. So does the 12 car of Lawson Peel, but they both make pit road speed. That's aggressive right there by Ethan to try and gain some time.
Ethan Fonseca Moreno, talented driver with these Xfinity Series cars, and hopped on the brakes in just the right amount of time to get on a pit road speed limit without any problems. Adam Alashire in the 91, also in as well. You see the 82 of Eric Stewart. Tim Horton Chevrolet Camaro for him, one of the Drinkin' Bros Racing drivers out of the 2 teams they have in season number 6. And with that, Mikey Neal will assume the race lead. Looks like he might hit pit road in this next couple of hundred of feet. And Jaden Porter in the 28 is going to look to stay out here. Not sure if he's going to come in this time by, but Francisco, is this the right call for Porter, given the fact that track position has not been on his side for most of the race?
At this point, he knows he's got something wrong with this race car, I'm pretty sure. So at this point, try a different strategy that'll offset it. And yes, he'll lose a little bit of time on the short run, but if he can aid his long run speed, which this race has lended itself to at the moment, then certainly you want to try and trend in that direction. If a caution comes out, he might try and fix that damage more extensively, but for now, try and play into the hands of the long run. Give yourself that tire advantage for a 25 lap stint compared to trying to take advantage of it for 2 laps.
Well, here's the net race leader, the 48 of AJ Green, now getting into the top 10 as Mikey Neal, Jaden Porter, and company have hit pit road. So as Jesse Freeze in the 00. But here is a huge development that we're learning of right now. You're not seeing the 94 of TJ Bursk, and that is because he has disconnected. We do not know the exact reason why, but he has shown 2 laps down, 33rd, not on the racetrack, nor pit road. TJ Bursk with an exit halfway through this race.
That is unreal, Kenneth. Not expecting that, of course. We don't expect that to happen to anybody in these races, but unreal circumstances just past the halfway point of the race. One of the 2 dominant drivers having some sort of software or connection issues, and it most certainly probably will cost them a shot at the win at the very least. And you hate to see it for TJ Bursk. Obviously, he swept the duels, started on pole tonight, was one of the 2 fastest cars. You definitely feel like he had a shot at the win tonight, up there with AJ Green, and unfortunately, looks like that shot is going to be no more.
It appeared that this race was going to be one to lose for the driver of the 94, and with the connectivity issues, it appears he will not have a chance at the race win, at least for now. Some of the last drivers to come into pit road, Travis Anderson in the number 24 is on his way in. Jeff No, Tyler Warner are going to be the last 2 to stay out. And when they come down pit road, it should hand over the lead to the driver of the 48, AJ Green, who has Brandon Banks and Ethan Fonseca Moreno ready to occupy the rest of the top 5. So a huge development here from Auto Club Speedway. TJ Bursk so far out of tonight's season opener. Jeff No on pit road right now. As we look up front, there is the 54 of Brandon Banks having to hold on from Ethan Fonseca Moreno. Francisco, one of the rookie drivers in season 6 of the 4Wide Racing TJ's Team Series. And you mentioned it earlier in the show, he is a native of California, living in San Jose, but originally from Guadalajara, Mexico. And the driver of the 43 putting on a show, now stepping into 4th, what will be 3rd on the net position, turn 1.
And he went over to his hometown for the first time ever this past summer, and he really enjoyed that experience and got in touch with the Hispanic culture, different to ours, but unique to his. And he really enjoyed it, and it gave him a new focus going into the season. When he came back, he was really excited to get back into the sim, and when he did so, it took him a while, but he was able to get back into the click of things, did some official racing once again, and I think he's gotten back into a rhythm. So Ethan, after having a nice little trip back home, he's able to be back here in his home state and try and see if he can capture a win. And he's done a good job here tonight. The opening run probably didn't go the way he thought, but he's been methodical about it. He's worked his way, stayed inside the top 5, and he's gotten in front of that 12 car. And if he can capitalize with that 94 not being here, that's all it could take for someone like him to maybe take that extra spot and try and see if he can take the fight to AJ Green.
When that door is blown wide open, anyone is going to try to put their foot in first, and Moreno is going to be one of those drivers who describes himself as, quote, Mexican iRacer that beats Americans at their own sport. So I think that's probably a good description. He is bad fast, though, and it is showing at the moment 40.946. Last time they crossed the line, almost about 0.3 faster than your race leader, AJ Green. Now, whether that is due to tire saving or not is up for discussion, but the 43 does have the pace. He's going to bring Lawson Peel in the 12 along with him for the ride. 9 league wins for Moreno in his sim racing career. He does have 1 league championship, and last time you saw him on the KBueno Racing Network was in the Work Dynamo Designs National Series that we covered a little earlier on this year and a bit of late last year, 2022. And Moreno was one of the fast drivers I recall at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Didn't get the win, but was certainly a dominant driver that could have closed off the W if it had gone his way at the end. So we'll keep tabs on the 43. His teammate Mikey Neo, both of them rookie drivers, stepping inside the top 5, and it has been an impressive run for these 2 drivers, Francisco. They have not been afraid of the lights. They have not been afraid of the competition. And here, with around 53 laps remaining, they've got a shot at either getting a good finish or getting to the race win.
And they've had really good long run speed, which is exactly why they're in the top 5 right now. We've been almost 70 laps in a row with the green flag out, and they're both in the top 5. It's very hard for rookies to be able to do this in such a long run, and the fact that they're both able to do so out of the same stable goes to show that they're doing a good job of keeping it under them, being patient, and playing the long game. Here's Lance Hill, who started in the back, got his up into the top 20, but has kind of stayed there since. He's been able been holding ground around that 18th position. So Lance Hill in that number 1 got up there in that Supra of his, but he's kind of holding on more or less in that same area. He's just ahead of that Jason Hastings machine as he's trying to battle away for that spot inside the top 20. You look a little bit further up ahead, Craig Lounsler, Tyler Murray, and Jaden Porter are all together on the racetrack. They're battling for 13th position. There you see Lounsler right there. And there you see that is the 53 of D'Elia just behind. And there you see Jaden Porter right there trying to close in on the 78, that it was. And he's trying to see if he can move up a couple of more positions. Remember, Porter stayed out longer on that green flag stop cycle. So he does have slightly fresher tires, which should help him between now and the next 15 or 20 laps before the next green flag pit stops occur.
I'm going to get loose at a turn 4, and you saw him wiggle the race car quite a bit. And he also did not take time to repair the left rear damage. It was a 14.5-second stop for Porter, so it looked like routine fuel and tires for driver 28. Did not bother to iron out some of the kinks there on the left rear. Looks like he's handling it just fine, but Porter settling into the top 15 and has to make up at about 1 second or so before he can catch up. It looks like actually 0.6 of a second, almost a full second between him and the 13 of Craig Lautenslager. We're looking at the onboard shot of the one machine, Lance Hill, who finished 20th in this race last season with the next-gen cars. The driver from Winchester, Tennessee, has made his way back to Stonks Motorsports. Remember, Francisco, him and Adam Alashire made that switch to Trackhouse Racing last season. I guess they missed some of their counterparts at Stonks Motorsports. They still had an alliance deep down within, so they officially merged once again. All racing Toyota Supras this evening, and you're missing Colin Forster, who is not here, unfortunately, tonight to try to defend his win from season number 3. But Lance Hill, despite a solid progression early, seems to have fallen off quite a bit. His 3 wide happens behind him. Jeff No in the middle.
You see a lot of action all around the racetrack, Kenneth. Battles everywhere, and that's what you like to see when you have such a big field like this. You enjoy being able to see different battles for position. It keeps you active, keeps you looking around, and it makes it fun for us as broadcasters being able to know that there's different battles on the racetrack instead of just every single person spread out. You like to be able to see it in like this.
So far, looking good for those 3 drivers. They keep it clean and they settle it out quickly. There's the number 79 of Ryan Steenbacher's former winner here at Auto Club a long time ago with the Gen 6 cars here in this series. And we are so happy to have Ryan Steenbacher's back in action, currently running in 21st behind that 14 car. But has ran a really clean outing so far. And that Summit Ford Mustang looking good as the lights flicker on from Auto Club Speedway. Let's take note of the driver still leading this race. It's the 48 of AJ Green, followed by the 43 of Ethan Fonseca Moreno. Lawson Peel trailing not too far behind in 3rd. Mikey Neal in 4th, and Brandon Banks rounding out the current top 5. Joe Sanchez just outside of that mark. We'll see if he has a fight to put up to the number 54, and Lawson Peel only continues his elevation to the front of the field, and he's been looking at the back bumper of that 43 for a fat minute now. It looks like he's probably going to be remembering the KBueno Racing Network logo by the time this run is over, but how can he try to uplift himself to second place and get around Moreno here?
Well, he almost did it right there by dialing up one to the inside, but the 43 will get a run off of the corner right here on the outside, and will carry around this along back straightaway, so it kind of offsets whatever he gains on the bottom there. So if you're Lawson Peel, you got to try something different, of course. If you do the exact same line, then it might not work out for you. So you see there, he goes about a lane higher, entered shallower, so I'm not sure if it's going to work out on this particular straightaway. And there you see him exit out a little bit higher, and it kind of maintains, which goes back to what I was saying. So if you're Peel, you got to try experimenting with different lines. Maybe try the high side this quarter and see how much you gain there, or just do something different and maybe catch a lap car at a good place, because there you see right ahead, they are with lap traffic. There is a lap car just in front of that 43. If he can use that lap car as a pick in the right part of the racetrack, he can gain some time.
We saw AJ Green weave through some of that lap traffic, and there's Ethan Fonseca Moreno on the inside of what appears to be Eric Stewart in the number 82. So that's a teammate of Lawson Peel at Drinking Bros Racing. So it looks like he'll probably give Peel the spot and give him a bit of draft heading back to turn one as we complete lap number 80 of 125 inside the final 45 laps left here from Auto Club Speedway. Francisco, as this race progresses under green, we are expecting at least one last stop before these drivers call it a day's end. And as the sun sets, it's going to get a little more interesting as the grip starts to elevate, because we saw the track temperatures a little earlier on in practice, and it's getting to the same track temp. It was around 66 degrees under the lights. It's 68 degrees now. We started under the hot California sun in the 90s and 100s, and the wind's still blowing to the west at 9 miles an hour. This track is slowly but surely changing, and now it's a matter of how the leaders can adapt to it the right way with strategy in mind.
Yeah, it was a late afternoon start, and the track temperature a little bit warmer than what it was now. It's probably in the upper 80s, lower 90s, if you will, and now it's got into the 60s. A really cool evening here in South California, and that's what's going to allow these guys to use more throttle, use more of their tires, and have a little bit less of a downside towards it, because they're just not going to wear as much with the cooler temps, so just have that much more grip. But you still have to take care of them at the end of the day, no matter what. Doesn't matter what anybody says. If you have tire life available, you can use more of the tire itself. So it doesn't kill to hurt to save them a bit, but just know that you have more to play with.
Here's the battle for 12th. Trevor Haley in the 4 car, right behind Craig Lounslogger. And then right behind them, Jaden Porter in the 28. These three with some sort of distance between all of them. You've got the 4th car right in front in Michael Newbaugh, the 6th machine. And it's a nice start for driver number 4. Remember the trouble that he got into earlier. Lap number 3 got hit on the back straightaway, went all the way to the inside apron, partially to the wall, but ended up saving it. Didn't pick up any damage from it, and so far 13th, a really decent outing for a driver that has never turned a lap with these 4 wide guys in race trim. He's got the defending series champion right behind him, Jaden Porter. That battle is going to develop for 13th.
He's going to try and see if he can move up. Jaden Porter, in the last run or two, he's been able to make some of those moves. He fell down almost outside the top 20, but he's starting to get closer to the top 10. He gets loose off of turn 4, though, which is going to allow that 4 car to battle him down this front straightaway. So we'll drag race down towards turn 1. Porter down in 14th now as he gets passed by that 4 car for now. And he'll try and see if he can take that 13th spot away, because there you see up ahead 2 cars battling away. That's for 11th. And then that other car up there that just got off of turn 2, that's the P10 spot. So he'll try and get up there and see if he can make position. But we do have a battle brewing between your top 3.
Lounslogger on the inside of Michael Newbaugh. Lounslogger, a one-time winner at Talladega last season. They got it into that Championship 5 round at Homestead of Miami Speedway. That was the 2nd straight Championship 5 appearance that he made in the season prior. He ended up winning the race at Charlotte Motor Speedway in a last lap stunner. Ended up 3rd in the Championship 5 then. Ended up 3rd in the Championship 5 last season, looking to be 2 spots better in Season 6 of the Xfinity Series car. It's been a solid race for driver 13. And now just on the outskirts of the top 10, he'll try and make up the 2.6 seconds needed to catch up to Kevin D'Elia. Lap 84 here from Auto Club Speedway, and second place, Ethan Fonseca Moreno is starting to make some noise towards your race leader. Gap sitting at 0.2 of a second. This is going to get really fun between the top three.
He's been closing in on the race leader slowly but surely during this whole run, using up a good bit of the racetrack and running the same line. He's been able to stay on the same line. Most of the field has kind of moved a little bit lower up on the racetrack overall, but he has a better arc to the corner. There you see right there, enters a little bit higher than the 48 and swings down lower. That's giving him a lot more racetrack to work with, and look how much of the racetrack is able to use to gain time naturally like that. Does not have to use up the tires in any sort of way. Just driving a different line than your race leader, and is able to make up time that way. It's going to work slowly, and it has. It's taken the whole run for him to get up there, but he's done so, and that's how he's been able to hold off Lawson Peel as well, because look, Peel dives it in, has a shallower entry, but the 43 arcs a little bit better and is able to drive off the corner. Peel slides a little bit off the turn too, but these three, Kenneth, they're really close together, and with pit stops being about 10 laps away, it's going to come down to one pit stop to go, at the very least, if this stays green. But when you pit is going to matter. These guys, at their best, can probably do another 10 laps. But the question is, will they wait it out and wait all 10 laps, or will they try and pit as early as they can make it to the end of the race?
And who's going to be the first one to strike? Because
exactly.
we have seen either one of these three come down in different laps. So either Lawson Peel comes down first, Ethan can do so. Same goes for AJ Green. And mind you, on the last stop, AJ and TJ Burst, drivers first and second, who pitted on different laps in the first run, went together on the second. So there could be a big discussion as to who's going to pit when, who's going to strike first, and most importantly, who's going to gain the upper hand by the time we get to crunch time. And speaking of which, we might have an extra driver added to the mix, because if you look in the background, you'll see the Carolina Hurricanes number 8 Chevrolet Camaro of Mikey Neal. So make that 4 cars trying to fight for the win.
And 2 yellow stripes are up there battling for this win. Rookies are starting to throw their name up there in the top portion of the field. You have to go a couple more seconds back to find your 5th place driver, but it's 10 seconds all the way back to 6th place runner, Kenneth. So the top 4 cars have really broken away from the field.
They have been on a tear, and they put a big gap to Brandon Banks in the 54, make that over 4.5 seconds between this Reese's Camaro and Mikey Neal in the 8 car. Joe Sanchez also a little ways back, 5 or so seconds behind the 54. And then from there on out, half a second to the 91 of Adam Alashire. Might see that battle brew up before we get to green flag stops. Then a 1.5 seconds back, Tony Kibbett in the 76. Then behind them, the California native Daniel Michel, who finished basically in this spot last season here at this track. And Kevin D'Elia in the 53, a quiet but effective night for the new team Skybox, with Kevin D'Elia leading that charge. It has been a really great race so far here from Auto Club Speedway, and now it's going to be down to the 4 drivers at the front, or maybe a caution flag could decide this race. Mikey Neal diving on the inside of Lawson Peel, and that was almost a bit of contact.
He's definitely getting closer to that 12 car, and he sniffs that podium spot. Mikey Neal trying to see what he can do in his debut race, and as we're approaching green flag pit stops, if he can have better position, and I'm sure he feels that it will certainly help him out in his quest for his green flag pit stop, because look at that 12 car, look how sideways he is in the corner, and show us Mikey, there you see him slide the rear end of his race car.
We've seen them fighting the wheel all night long, and we've seen countless times that Jaden Porter in the 28 has gotten sideways out of 4, but we haven't really counted the times that these 4 have been all over the place, whether it's almost hitting the outside wall, whether it's getting sideways off of the corner. They have been at it, but they have been some of the fastest cars on the racetrack. And you talked about it, Francisco, and we both alluded to it, the fact that TJ Burska's exit out of this race with connectivity issues is going to blow this event wide open, where here you've got it, 4 different drivers from different teams across this series, 2 rookie drivers, 2 previous champions, all trying to tussle for this race win at about 34 laps to go, and we are expecting that fuel window to open relatively soon.
And I think that goes to show just the nature of the 4-wide racing series here, Kenneth. You have 2 champions in AJ Green and Lawson Peel battling 2 rookies in Ethan Fonseca Moreno and Mikey Neal. That's exactly what this series is all about. We've seen that happen in seasons past, and already in the first example of Season 6, it's happening again.
Mikey Neal, the driver from Wake Forest, North Carolina, hence why he's running a Carolina Hurricanes paint scheme. One of the drivers for KBueno Racing, and says his favorite type of racetrack is all of them. Not afraid of dirt, not afraid of asphalt, not afraid of short tracks, large tracks, road courses, anything in between. He has a lot of fun racing them. He says his favorite moment in his iRacing career was an NIS win at Dover, and if he's able to get his first career 4-wide racing win here in his first race with the Xfinity Series car, maybe that might be his new favorite moment, and maybe it might be fighting one of the previous champions in this series in Lawson Peel. He's got the inside. Question is, can he hold on for the spot and enter the podium?
Well, he's there going into turn 1, so we'll see what happens. Peel will go all the way to the outside. Not all the way, but he'll run that upper lane, and it looks like Mikey will have the advantage going through 1 and 2, but this is where the 12 should start to pull away. He'll use that outside lane momentum to drive off on the back straightaway, so it'll put the 8 at a disadvantage going into turn 3. They'll stay side by side, and there you see just this shot, what a good example of it is. And the 8 clears for a second, but he can't move up quite yet. Lawson Peel will use the momentum around the outside, and he should clear. No, he's into the wall. The 12 gets into the wall. Mikey Neal kind of has to check up just a little bit to make sure he doesn't hit him, and it should give the 8 the spot.
And it does. Mikey Neal moves up into third and make that 2 out of the top 4 for KBueno Racing, now in consecutive running position, second and third out on the racetrack. Boy, it has become an absolute barn burner here from Auto Club. Now we have drivers on pit road. First one to strike, Joe Sanchez, Curtis Kelly, Tony Kimmett.
And these are most of the guys that were about 10 plus seconds behind the race leader, so they might not pass those guys for position, but this is going to affect a lot of the back end of the top 10. So Joe Sanchez being the first one to strike is essentially a move to try and protect a 5th or 6th place finish here, which he's trying to do so. So a good idea by the 55 to pit now. He should get to the end on fuel. They see a couple of other cars in as well. I'm not sure if any of the front runners have struck quite yet. And there you see actually is the 48 of AJ Green. Your race leader is in on pit road, and it looks like he's the only one of that front group that is pitted.
And look at Brandon Banks in the 54 right behind him. The 3 machine, it appears to be of Eric Schaefer, also coming in. His race has gone rather poorly. He fell a lap down. Now he's 26. So Ethan Fonseca Moreno is going to take hold of the race lead. Mikey Neal right on the outside as the 43 will come in. Not with his teammate, but perhaps with Lawson Peel in the 12, who gets loose trying to hop on the brakes and almost gets to the inside. 2 of the top 4 now on a pit road as Mikey Neal leads this race.
And right there, Lawson Peel made up time on Ethan on the entry to pit road this time. And it goes to show what an advantage is pitting behind someone. If you're able to use someone as a reference, you're able to gain so much more time because you have an idea of what to go off of, versus if you're just pitting on your own, you're trying to be more cautious because you don't want to speed on pit road. But if you trust somebody else enough, or you're trying to use someone as a reference, you just have a better idea as to who is doing that. So here's Mikey Neal going through 3 and 4, and he will bring it down for pit road this time. So he waits 2 laps after AJ Green, 1 lap after his teammate and Lawson Peel. So we'll see how this works out for the driver, the 8. We'll see how this works out for the 43 and the 12. So AJ Green should keep the lead right now, but there's about 30 laps left in this race for the 43 and the 12 to get back to him. There you see the pass for position right there. And there you see the 43 and the 12. So crucially, the 43 still stays ahead of the 12. And they're going to be battling as soon as they get to turn 3, because Lawson Peel got a good exit off the pit lane in the access road on the apron of the racetrack. So they'll battle away, but they do have slightly better tires than your race leader. So as soon as they get warmed up, they should start clicking off some lap times to try and close that gap in. And they have time. That's the important thing.
They do have time, but the thing is, they don't want to be fighting all too hard, because if they go side by side for long enough, AJ Green is going to continue to pull away, and then that fight for the lead virtually becomes non-existent unless a yellow comes out. Now they have gone single file again, but you have to keep that in mind if you're Lawson Peel. There's Mikey Neal, who just got out of pit road. He's going to fall back to P6. And we'll see how much track position he can gain now that he has about 1 or 2 lap pressure tires, and the driver's right in front. AJ Green is going to have the net race lead by approximately 1.4 seconds, but that gap is surely starting to shrink. Tyler Werner and Jeff No, some of the 2 last to come down pit road. Looks like a problem for Eric Stewart in the 82.
Looks like he's out of fuel.
And that 82 car trying to hang on as he got into the pit lane entrance, but it appears he will not have enough gas to make it all the way to his pit stall. That might be the end of the race for the 82, and he might have to get a tow before this is all said and done. There's the gap on your screen between AJ Green and Ethan Fonseca Moreno, as we'll continue to watch the 14. Caution flag is out here at Auto Club Speedway. We're going to try and get official confirmation on who it might have been. It is Patrick Thompson. It appears in trouble in turn 4.
Miraculous, Kenneth, just after the green flag pit stops, and that's what gave AJ Green the lead. That's what you play for if you try to pit early. You hope on a cookie yellow after the cycle just to give you the track position, because you expect these guys to come back down pit road now. And there could be some strategy calls, so we'll just have to see. So let's see what happened here. Patrick on cold tires. Remember, they just came down pit road. Gets loose off of turn 4. He locks it down. I'm not sure if this was an iRacing caution, Kenneth, because he's definitely off the racetrack, but I'm not sure if there's any special parameters here with the pit entry. So very interesting right there in the position that he spun, because it didn't go completely around, but wow, that's going to shake things up.
Here's a look at Timothy Cook in the 29 who was coming out of pit road. He said that on ATBO might have had an incident here coming out of the lane, but it appears that 29 was A-OK coming back on to the back straightaway. So it appears that incident with Patrick Thompson is going to cause the yellow flag to fly here at lap number 99 from Auto Club Speedway. And AJ Green is going to lead the entire field in 4 pit stops. This seems to be the no-brainer call, Francisco, going for the 4 fresh Goodyear Eagles and some fuel to top off with around 25 laps left.
But will everyone take 4 is the question. They just pitted, so you have to think somebody in this field is going to try 2. Somebody's going to.
Well, there's AJ Green lifting up the right side of his Toyota Supra. And he'll continue to get tires. There goes the left side up and away, and you see Mikey Neal and some others getting out. The 43 going to try to beat the 48 out of pit road. Lawson Peel will win the fight for second, but AJ Green's going to hold on for the lead.
And with Lawson Peel coming out second, that means he'll line up on the front row with the 43. If that is everybody has pitted, there's a couple of lap cars that have stayed out, so we'll try and see if we can cycle the scoring. But if the race off pit road was truly the battle for the top positions, that should put Lawson Peel to the same row as your race leader, which has been a tough spot to restart in, Kenneth, but crucially, not everybody pitted.
And that makes it 7 drivers that did not come for pit road this time by, and that might attribute, Francisco, to the fact that we had that caution come out at that point, that specific marker of the green flag run, where a lot of these guys who are staying out now only put maybe 2 or 3 laps on their set of tires, and they didn't fully push the car out on the racetrack when they got out. So they're going to try and stay out here for track position and hope it sticks. Daniel Michel, the California native, is looking for some of that redemption from last season's race. He ran in front almost all night long and could not capture the victory. Now he's going to be leading this race at lap number 102. Lap car is going to get the wave around. Kevin D'Elia is going to be in second place, the highest he's run all night long. Jeff No is going to be in third. Nicholas Vizzuti in fourth. Ryan Steenbacher's the top 5. Jason Hastings and Craig Lauenslager, the entire group, Francisco, to remain out on the racetrack looking for their first win of the season.
And you have to go back a couple rows before you find any driver that was up in the front. There you see AJ Green. He's going to line up 8th for this restart. Looks like the 12 of Lawson Peel will be 9th, and Ethan Fonseca will be down in the 10th position. So these guys definitely didn't want a caution. Those top 4 or 5 guys, they were settled in knowing that they had a top 5 at the very least. But now, not only are they not in the top 5, but the guys they were ahead of are now get a chance to try and get a bite of the cherry as well. They know that they have a tire advantage on the top 7, but they have to be careful working their way through. It's not a massive difference. It's not like they stayed out on a 20-lap run. It's just slightly older, so they should have the advantage, but they got to be patient. If they play their cards wrong, it could be the end of their night. And what a difference. We had a 90-lap green flag run And now it's going to be less than 25 laps to go before we decide a winner.
Watch the two fresh tire cars on the inside, a couple of rows back, Lawson Peel and Mikey Neal. Maybe they'll get snapped up by some of the traffic in front. Green flag is in the air. Daniel Michel will lead him through to lap 102. 23 laps remaining from Fontana, California.
And he'll go to the bottom. There you see already making 3 wide moves. There was a bit of a stack up there, and he's to the inside of Steenbachers in the 79. 4 wide through 1 and 2.
And the 48 is going to get on the high side. Look at the space that's running out. Lance Hill is sideways. Caution flag is out once again, and that'll slow the field down. Everybody's spreading out to get out of the way, but I saw Lance Hill sideways on the apron, and indeed he is spun around.
And the timing of that yellow is going to be very important because we saw a lot of 3 and 4 wide towards the front. Just exactly when that caution comes out can determine an entire row or 2 from where you line up. And there you see what happens. The 76 was the first car to get loose. And it looks like the one car checks up for him, gets hit from behind, and then he gets spun around. But again, much like the Patrick Thompson spin, he didn't fully go around whilst on the racing surface. We'll go on board with him now. So there you see 76 gets loose, he checks up for him, then gets hit from behind. That contact there might be it, but he never goes around until right about here, and he's well off the track at this point. So I'm not sure if that was a manual caution flag or if iRacing deemed it, but he definitely was off the racing surface. So another surprising caution flag call there.
The Auto Club has not been nice at all to the driver of the one who's got some right rear damage on his Toyota Supra. The driver for Stonks Motorsports, Winchester, Tennessee native, had a big pileup happen in turn 1 in duel number 2, and Hill was unfortunately involved in it. And with the fact that we do not have fast repairs in this season of the 4Wide Racing TJ's Team Series, Hill was immediately registered as out of the race. Tonight, it seems like the luck has not fallen in his favor. Driver who finished 20th last time we were here, 26th at the moment on the racetrack. But to touch on your point, Francisco, you're right. This caution certainly did affect the field significantly because not only did it give Daniel Michel more time here to work with, a bit of padding, as you would say here, at the front of the field, it also gave the opportunity for guys like Lawson Peel and AJ Green to advance on position. Peel seemed to be the biggest mover out of those on fresh tires, and he did get in front of the 48, so that is relatively important. Now that Peel is going to be the first fresh tire car on the next restart, how will that affect everyone else?
It's going to come down to the lines, which one the leader chooses, which one goes effectively, but he did gain a good bit of positions there. He restarted at 9th, and he now finds himself in the 5th position, or excuse me, the 6th position, so he should be on the outside lane, which is a little bit favorable to be in. Ethan Fonseca Moreno lost positions actually there. He's down in the 10th position. That caution timing did not work out well for him, and that's how these cautions work, Kenneth. If that caution comes out in turn 2 versus, let's say, halfway down the back straightaway with 3 and 4 wide going on, you could gain either 5 positions or lose 5 positions.
Ethan Fonseca Moreno and Mikey Neal, both of them played a conservative on that restart. And you see both of them as part of the Season 6 rookie class. Many drivers, 8 of them you see on your screen right now, making their first start in the 4Wide Racing TJ's Team Series. That 43 and that 8 car have been fast all night long. And this may be their chance to make a statement on the rest of the field and prove what they can exactly do. We're going to double up here and have a restart at lap number 106. Daniel Michel still at the head of the field, going to choose the outside lane on the restart. Jeff No on the inside of row 1. Kevin D'Elia and Nicholas Vizzuti going to round out 3rd and 4th. And then come the first bit of fresh tire power. Steenbachers on old tires, but Peel on new Goodyear Eagles. And he's got AJ Green behind him, Craig Lautenslager, Ethan Fonseca Moreno, Jason Hastings, and a bunch of others looking for their first win. Michel trying to grab his first victory since race number 6 of Season 5. And guess who that race was against in the final lap, Francisco?
Lawson Peel.
Lawson Peel. When Peel went around in turn 5 going down the hill and then had a mistake in turn 6. It was this 25 car that took advantage of it and captured his first ever win. Can he get his first oval win at a track that has eluded him for quite a while? And one that he calls home. We'll have this restart with 20 laps to go from Fontana. We'll reset the top 10 as it stands. Michel, No, Vizuti, Delia, Peel, your top 5. Steenbachers, Lautenslager, Green, Moreno, and Hastings, your top 10. Field will get rid of the pace car out of turn 4. And it will be in the hands of the 25 machine of Daniel Michel, who will get into the restart zone first. We'll hop on the gas pedal early, and we're back under green from Auto Club.
And that was not a good restart for the inside lane. You saw them stack up a bit. That's not going to help the 48 of AJ Green either. He kind of got boxed in a little bit further back. But Michel, a good launch for him. He's going to set off into 1, and he's going to be in the lead. There you see the 12 of Peel already looking to the inside, trying to make some moves, but unable to really gain any spots right then and there. But he is looking, and you see most of the field making positions. He's actually going to try and take it 3 wide to the inside now.
3 wide to the inside, and we question as well, at least I did, whether the cold tires might affect some of the fresh tire cars. Caution is out again. Crash near the rear of the field, Tyler Werner.
Another well-timed caution for loss of field because he made a dive, and it was a bit of a brave move, but it puts him in 3rd for this restart. So he keeps gaining those spots with relatively no energy being put to those tires, and that's really going to work out well for him. As there you see a couple of cars that were involved there, the 24 Travis Anderson, the 33 of Tyler Warner. This is towards the back end of the field once again, so there you're looking at it now, 3 and 4 wide towards this portion of the field. Warner going down the back straightaway. He might get, looks like up in front of him, the 24. I'm not sure what happened there, but you see a hard contact there that tears off that front bumper off the 24 and then magically reappears, but that's still a hard hit. So let's see what happens here. It looks like might involve
Curtis Kelly, that's the 71.
Yes, that's Curtis Kelly. Gets the outside, and I'm not sure that the 24 saw him there. I'm not sure if that's the case, but kind of drifts up a little bit, and Warner just hard contact to the inside wall.
And those are 2 Murray Motorsports Ford Mustangs that were involved in this crash, the other being the 42 of Christopher Bishop. It has not been a night to remember for that team. You're right on board with Warner, and this is going to be a wild one. Hold on.
You're going to see everything looks fine here, but then that crash happens just in front. You try and take some avoiding action, and then right here, boom, just barely get clipped. And a hard hit to the inside wall. That almost looks like, if it wasn't for the car staying perfectly level to the ground, it almost looked like Priest's Kansas crash with the way it hit the wall.
It was a hard lick to the inside wall for the 33 of Tyler Warner. That's the new damage model for the Xfinity Series cars. Hard at work. And with the fact that there are no fast repairs, Tyler Warner is going to bring that Ford Mustang to pit road. Christopher Bishop is going to do the same. It looks like Eric Stewart, 3 laps down, also appears to be on pit road. And the race has gone sour for those drivers involved in the incident. Travis Anderson, we saw him in the 24 get a bit of suspension damage from the crash. There he is trying to repair it in 28th place. And the caution is out again. All of them starting to fly out rather frequently, Francisco. I guess cautions do breed cautions, and we know the tale of these end of race scenarios where everyone's trying their best to gain as much track position as possible, difference in tire wear as well, and you have those little bits of miscues that causes the accidents, and has taken out a couple of more drivers here tonight.
Yeah, whenever you have a long green flag run, if there's a caution that comes out, best believe that there's going to be more after it, especially if it's the end of the race. And we saw this the last time we had a race back at the Homestead Miami Speedway. We had a long green flag run in that one, a late caution comes out, and we had a handful of more before the actual race came to a close. So while we're still a couple laps away from the finish of the race, wouldn't be surprised if we saw a couple of more before the scheduled finish of the race. There is the possibility of overtime. But there you see right now your current race leaders, the 14, rookie Jeff No, did get ahead of the 25 of Michel at some point during that lap, and he now has the race lead, and he'll take the inside. That's going to be crucial, Kenneth, that him restarting on the inside, because now Lawson Peel is not going to be behind the race leader. He won't be able to just go with the line that goes. That inside line should have the advantage now compared to the outside just because of where the leader chose.
It's a smart call by the 14, who is making the most of the scenario he's in. Rookie driver has been hanging around the mid-pack for the entire race. Now that he's got a shot at the front, he's giving it all that he's got. And we'll see if he can hold on. That 12 car, though, is inching closer and closer as we get every single restart down That fresh tire advantage, though, Francisco, is going to start to dwindle as we get restarts, and if we continue to have cautions wave, these tires are going to start to equalize throughout the field. But if we do get at least maybe 1 or 2 laps, it's probably going to be story-ridden for Lawson Peel on the fresh rubber, especially if he can get that outside and get around the top 2.
Well, these cycles are definitely helping out the guys that stayed out, but there's still plenty of enough laps for the drivers who have been faster throughout the entire race to flex the muscles and get up there and take advantage of those positions, because expect Lawson Peel, you expect the 43, you expect the 48 to eventually get past some of these guys, as they've been some of the front runners for most of the evening. But that pace car, he's going to make that hard left turn onto pit road. We'll have 16 laps to go, and the 14 is going to take off. He's going to restart in the race lead, and there he goes.
Green flag in the air, 16 laps to go from Auto Club Speedway. Michel's trying to shut the door. They're crashing behind the 76 of Tony Kivet into the outside wall, the multiple others involved. And just as quickly as we get the green, we get the yellow.
That was right. We weren't done.
First incident of the night for Tony Kivet in the 76. Looks like Michael Newbraw was trying to slow down for the incident. It appears he got away scot-free. There were some others that got some damage off of that. We'll try and get the replay, as it's an early restart caution. Your lap 110. Oh, it's Porter through the middle. Then tried to force it about 4 wide. Got into the 6 of Newbraw, who gets into Tony Kivet. Catches Lance Hill. Boy, he was in an unlucky spot there. And that's what causes the caution. Anticipation for the restart and antsiness create the most recent yellow.
Remember, as you get further back into these restarts, they accordion a lot more aggressively towards the back because of the anticipation, guys having to check up. So if you get to the start-finish line and someone starts checking up, you start making that move. So let's see if we can go on board with Jaden Porter and see what he saw to see how we got to this position. So Jaden saw them checking up. He's approaching the start-finish line, so he's thinking, okay, I'll change my line and try and see if I can take advantage of these checkups and gain a couple of positions. That's the way it's got to be towards this race. He sees the checkup, thinks about going up, and that you see that hole right there. It was there for a second, but as soon as he went to take it, it immediately closed, and then right there gets another hit as well. But unfortunately for the 76, he's going to get the worst end of that one.
So Jaden Porter picks up some damage, and the defending
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Kenneth, but it looks like there's trouble for AJ Green. He's down in the mid-20s.
Hey, AJ Green, you're right. 24th on the racetrack. And he just hit pit road. He's been there for about 23 seconds. What has happened to AJ Green here?
I'm not sure if there was any contact that happened towards the front end of the field. I don't remember seeing any of this, but he's been on pit road for a while, so something must have happened here.
Oh, yeah.
Look at,
it happened in a turn 1. Yes, look, so this was the incident behind them. But Joe Sanchez is going to get into AJ Green right about here as Craig Lounslauger closed the hole. And they get a piece of damage. Look at the 91 of Alishire, Trevor Haley.
Wow, he missed this entirely.
And more drama apart from the initial cause of the yellow. Man.
So now we need to get a couple of replays here because we missed this entirely. We saw that crash in the back, and that's all we had assumed, but we missed this part entirely. Let's see what happens here.
On board with Joe Sanchez through the middle, 3 wide. The 13 comes up. Space runs out. And I believe Ethan Fonseca Moreno might have picked up some damage off of that as well. You see the 91 with a hard hit. Rips off the front bumper clip. I think that might be suspension. Yes, that's suspension damage, it appears, for AJ Green. Wow. Off of that caution. Yes, the wheel turned 90 degrees to the right.
Look at that.
And that's race over for the Toyota Supra from Stonks Motorsports.
And that's another one of the dominant drivers getting involved in one of these incidents, and that's what happens when you're not at the front. Let's see if we can get an onboard view from that 43. He definitely had a close call as well. He stayed out on the racetrack, so I'm not sure. So let's see here with him as he gets going. He has enough space to every side of his, so he's behind all of this. He sees this going on, and wow, is able to miss that. Does not get a piece of that. Mikey Neal also had a close call as well. So both KBueno Racing cars, Kenneth, very fortunate.
And that's going to take some notable cars out of this race, most notably AJ Green there, who led so many laps in tonight's outing from Auto Club, and now is going to have to sit this one out and watch the rest of the field play out the rest of the story. With 12 laps to go on this restart, Daniel Michel will have control of the field, but he was in a constant tussle with Lawson Peel before they got to turn 1. And that 12 car is on the freshest set of tires. And we have mentioned how much it can dwindle, that advantage, as soon as you get yellow after yellow. But for the moment, 25 will have control. Jeff No, the rookie driver, on the outside of the front row. We're going to get this restart in crunch time here from Auto Club Speedway. Nicholas Suzuki on the outside of row 2. Kevin D'Elia to wrap up the top 5, and no further progress from fresh tire cars. Ethan Fonseca Moreno and Mikey Neal with a caution that just rung the bell. Near the end of this race, pace car will make that left to pit road. Michel giving as much space as possible before they get to the restart zone. He wants an early jump for the first corner, and so far he's going to try and get it. Green flag in the air, but the 14 call this bluff. He takes the lead for turn 1.
The 25 struggled getting up to speed there massively, and it holds up everybody from behind the field, and the 14 is able to get away free. He has space going into turn 1.
Now this is good news for Lawson Peel because he has clean air and only one car left to beat. The 14 of Jeff No. They're side by side for 4th on the racetrack. Steenbacher's on the inside of Vizzuti, but Lawson Peel with one car ahead, trying to capture the win.
He's got time, but the tires did equal a good bit with these cautions, so I think the 14 of Nome is going to try and put up as much of a fight as he can. He's racing for his first career win.
See the three-way fight for that 3rd spot, rather the 4th spot. Nicholas Vizzuti ahead of Steenbacher's D'Elia, Moreno, and Brandon Banks. Mind you, the 43 and the 54, both on fresh sets of Goodyear Eagles, but they have made nothing of it so far as Lawson Peel dials up the inside on Jeff No for the lead.
He's to the bottom. They're going to be side by side. It's a drag race down the back straightaway, 3 wide a little bit further back. But looking into turn 3, it looks like Peel's going to try and send it in here to clear himself for the top spot as he almost makes contact.
And he's got it. Lawson Peel to the race lead out of turn 4. This was the similar situation he was faced with last season as Jeff No hits the outside wall. Peel got the lead in the last 15 or so laps in that race, and he never relinquished it. Can he hold on this time by? Daniel Michel goes to the outside for second.
Daniel Michel's definitely not going to try and let this one go without a fight. He's going to try his very best as Ethan with the slide job on the 79 to try and take that upper position away. They're going to be 3 wide off the corner, contact with the 79 and Brandon Banks. Here comes the 3 of Eric Schaefer.
And now how desperate, Francisco, does the 43 of Moreno have to be on fresh tires because he is still trapped in the old tire traffic? How much does he have to do now in the waning laps of this race?
He definitely wants to try and get back to the top 5 at least. He feels like he deserves one of those, and he's got a couple of spots ahead of him. He's up into the 6th position now. He's just cleared himself there, so he's got 9 laps to try and get up there and pass a handful of cars.
There's Kevin D'Elia on the inside of Nicholas Vizzuti. Battle for 4th underway. They might try to catch up to the 14 of Jeff No, but at the moment, this race is in the hands of Season 4 champion Lawson Peel, yet to give it up. Moreno in that 3-way fight with Schaefer and Steenbachers for turn 3.
He's looking to the outside of D'Elia. He'll try to roll there as they go through the corner. He's starting to get some momentum. If he's able to keep it off the wall, he does. So he'll try to look to the inside on the front straightaway, and look at them snake trailing here as they have all night long. Schaefer to the outside now of Steenbachers.
3 cars going to try to get into the top 10 for the first time in a long time. Boy, have we seen back and forth action from this 3 machine. The lowest he's been all night long, 32nd. The highest, 2nd place. This 3 has been topsy-turvy all night long, and he is now finding his stride in the last 8 or so laps in this race. But look at the battle up front. Daniel Michel has not let Lawson Peel pull away. He is remaining within a car length or so of the 12. So this race for the win, not quite settled yet. 7 to go at the line.
I mentioned he wasn't going to let it go without a fight. He's putting up a hometown fight right now, trying to keep up with your race leader and see if he can take it away. And going back to turn 1, he is 2 car lengths away.
And we mentioned how the tires would equalize
Oh,
based on the amount of
up.
cautions that flew recently. Now here's the 25 to the inside of the 12. trying to get to the race lead with 6 laps to go next. And caution is out as Michel takes the lead. Timothy Cook on the apron in trouble.
Looks like trouble in the back. We'll get a look at it exactly how it happened. But the timing of this caution is very important, Kenneth. The leader very likely is going to have a really good restart. And depending on who was in front is going to be who gets a good restart. So let's see what happens here. The 29, it looks like Porter gets loose and the 29 has nowhere to go. And looks like the car wiggles around and unfortunately he'll spin down the racetrack. And that's going to be what brings out the caution.
The Texas native finds himself in a spin here late in the going. We'll ride on board with him. You see Porter there creeping up on the inside. He'll try the slide job. Well, that was a late call to go all the way up to the wall. I'm not sure if whether he lost control of the car, Francisco, and just chased it up the hill, or whether he wanted to close off that move as fast as possible. But regardless, contact is made. Cook goes for the inside wall. He keeps it out of it. And a nice job of keeping that car clean. But this is a pivotal caution inside. 6 laps to go. With Lawson Peel and Daniel Michel fighting for the spot, it appears the 12 did get given the spot back, so it looks like he'll be okay. Looks like no problems there for Lawson Peel. He's going to hold on to it, and he's going to bring maybe some drivers on a pit road. He'll fake. He'll stay out. Eric Schaefer and a couple of others faking as well will cross the line with 5 laps to go. And Francisco, you have caught up with the driver of the 48, AJ Green, who found trouble on a crash entering turn 1.
AJ, this is Francisco in the booth. You got me?
I got you.
We saw you be fast all night long, AJ. There was a caution that broke that green flag cycle. It trapped you in behind some of those cars on an alternate strategy. Can you kind of guide us through what happened there?
Every caution came, like, the next cautions that came out, I was just getting stuck behind cars. I couldn't pass. I really wish we still were on that green flag run. I think I probably could have had a better shot to win. I had a good lead. And then the final restart, I was in. I blocked high. I blocked the 3rd lane, and I don't know if it was Joe pushing 3 or Craig coming up, but they made contact, and I went around and then got hit by a few more cars. So not the way I wanted to end it, but I was fast, so I'm happy.
It was a good showing out of you, AJ, and even though you won't get the result that you wanted, I'm sure this is exactly how you wanted to come out and open the season. So can you kind of describe to the audience what it was like to race here with these Xfinity cars, battling the likes of Lawson Peel, TJ Bursk in that first half, and that 43 of Ethan Fonseca Moreno?
Oh, these cars were fun. I always like racing against TJ. The races we're in, when we race each other, it's always great. Normally he's in front, he is faster, and you know it's always fun racing against Lawson as well. And you know, seeing new guys come race up there is pretty cool too. So new people to race around, old people to race around, it's all fun.
And before we go back green, AJ, just kind of give us a shout out on what was able to let you go out here and make all this effort possible to start season 6.
Yeah, shout out to my team. They're still going. Hope one of them can win, get top 10s. Shout out to Colin, he couldn't make the race. And shout out to you guys for broadcasting and Tyler for putting on league.
Appreciate the time here, AJ. There's still a bit to go in this race. It won't be the win I'm sure you hope for, but we'll wish you luck going into Nashville.
Thank you.
It's AJ Green, driver of the 48, unfortunately out of this race early. Before we get to the green, let's try and talk with Lawson Peel, who will have control of this restart. Lawson, it's been a chaotic race. You're at the front, 3 laps to go. What's the mindset here on this restart?
Well, I think I'm in a pretty good position, obviously, with the lead here, but Daniel was tracking me down. There's last couple laps there, and like he was a little better than me. It's his home track, so he knows his way around here. So I'm just going to have to hold him off here, and we'll see if we get another yellow or if we run it out green. Looks like we'll have 3 to go here maybe, so should be fine. Hope it's entertaining for you guys.
All right, Lawson, got a chance at your 24th career 4-wide racing win. We'll see what we do on track. Go get him out there.
Thank you.
So that is Lawson Peel with the race lead. 3 laps to go from Auto Club. Daniel Micho on the inside of row 1. They enter the restart zone for what might be the final time, and it's a late going for the 12, but he catches the whole field off guard. Green flag in the air.
Nearly 3 laps to go, and Micho immediately moves up to solidify that second place spot. There's no battle. They're 3 wide for third.
They are 3 wide back in the top 5. There's Ethan Fonseca Moreno charging on the inside. Might make it 4 wide. He does at a turn 2 back straightaway.
And that'll be now 3 wide for the fourth spot. As there goes the field, working their way down the back straightaway. A lead for Lawson Peel going into turn 3. Michel is going to run out of time to try and catch up, as there's the 43 diving it for the 4th position.
A leap of faith for the 43, and it sticks going into turn 4. Not enough to break free of the 75's grasp for the top 5, but he's going to stay there. The 12 catches 2 laps to go and 4 miles remaining from Auto Club. Michel now under fire from the fellow DBR Chevrolet of Eric Schaefer.
And that's a teammate to your race leader, so Schaefer might try and see if he can battle the 25 of Michel and help his teammate secure this win.
He's going to stay in draft of the 25. The gap settles at 0.3 of a second, about a car length and a half. And Michel is going to have 1 more lap to try and get to the 12 and get his first win since Road America back in season number 5. Out of turn 4, car sideways at Jesse Freeze, but regardless, the white flag is out.
1 lap to go from Auto Club. Lawson Peel out in front, where we've seen him many times before. Daniel Michel trying to track him down. He's got less than 2 miles to try and get up to your race leader, Ethan, trying to see if he can take a podium position in his debut race. He's all over the back bumper of that 3 car. Michel strikes the wall off of turn 2. It'll be a Hail Mary for that second spot. As there you see them going 3 wide, going into turn 3 for second place. The 3 is on the inside, the 25 on the outside, but up front, one of the dominant drivers in league history is going to return to the top step of the podium. Lawson Peel, with the brand new season, the brand new car, is going to return to victory lane. He wins at Auto Club.
Lawson Peel wins his 24th 4-wide Racing TJ's team win. Daniel Michel second, Eric Schaefer in third. Championship 5 driver from 1 season ago picks up right where he left off. Lawson Peel victorious in the season 6 opener, as the entire field hands off their congratulations. A phenomenal first race. But Lawson Peel, who started tonight 32nd out of the 38 cars that registered for the race, moves up into the top 5 midway through the action and plays strategy in the right way to capture his first win in a little while. It has been since Pocono, race 22 of season 5, since Lawson Peel has visited victory lane, and it's the 2nd time in a row that driver number 12 will take the checkered flag from Auto Club Speedway. Celebrations for Lawson Peel, the winner of race number 1.
And we mentioned it during this race, Kenneth, that he told us that this car was going to be a challenge for him, that he was not comfortable in it. First race out, and he's able to take away the checkered flag. It goes to show the kind of driver that number 12 has under it. And this, of course, this victory presented by Paul's Setup Shops.
This victory is presented by Paul's Setup Shop. And there's Peel driving it into, I guess, what we would call Paul's Setup Shop victory lane here at Auto Club Speedway. He'll park it right about there. The perfect spot for a former champion getting back on top with a brand new car, new rules, and a brand new season. But it's the same face that we see visit victory lane once more. Lawson Peel wins here tonight from the virtual Auto Club Speedway. We'll get into the unofficial results after 125 grueling laps here in Southern California. Daniel Michel, as close as he was to the race win in his hometown track, it would not be good enough. 0.3 of a second he is from the race winner. Eric Schaefer completes a Drinkin' Bros Racing top 3 outing. Ethan Fonseca Moreno, in his first 4-wide start, brings the rookie-striped Chevrolet Camaro to a 4th place finish. And how about Nicholas Vizzuti? Hadn't seen his name all night long, but the Ford Mustang closes off the top 5, holding on with old Goodyear Eagles. So does Jeff Noe in the 14. A phenomenal job for another rookie driver getting a top 10 outing tonight. Kevin D'Elia, quiet for most of the evening, but he brings the Skybox Toyota Supra to 7th. Ryan Steenbacher's former winner here at Auto Club is going to finish in 8th. Jason Hastings with a top 10 finish that he'll be happy about, heading for Nashville Super Speedway. And the league owner, Tyler Murray, bounced up and down throughout tonight's race, Francisco, but he rounds out the top 10.
And Brandon Banks, who was top 5 for most of the evening, will finish in the 11th position with Michael Newbrawl in 12th. Rookie Mikey Neal will end up with a 13th place finish in his debut in front of his teammate Jaden Porter, who has struggled for most of the evening but is able to pick up a decent 14th place. Brady Cox with a solid 15th place result, with Patrick Thompson, who brought out one of the 8 late yellows, finishing in 16th. Timothy Cook in that 29 coming home in 17th, with Ryan Pandesino in the 18th position. Curtis Kelly will finish in the 19th spot, with Tony Kibbett down in the 20th position.
21st goes to the 91 of Adam Alashire, and the Lance Hill machine in the 1 did not have a good night either. Both of them getting caught up in scuffles late in the going. Jesse Prees is going to finish in 23rd. We saw him go sideways out of turn number 2 in the last or so lap of the race. He's going to be the last car on the lead lap. Trevor Haley is going to finish 1 lap down in 24th. Joe Sanchez 2 laps down in 25th after suffering damage and a crash entering turn 1 after a restart. Eric Stewart's going to be 26th. 27th will go to the 42 of Christopher Bishop. Craig Lounslager 28th. 29th to Travis Anderson, and AJ Green, one of the most dominant cars all evening long, is going to have to settle for a 30th place finish, Francisco. A lot of heavy hitters near the bottom end of the order.
And you'll see some of them here. 31st goes to Tyler Warner in that 33. Cody Kinsey will finish in 32nd. TJ Burst, the other dominant car, along with that 48, will finish in the 33rd position. He led many laps in the first portion of this race under the sun. CJ Munier will finish in 34th after that heavy hit early on. Kyle Benson will finish in 35th. Wyatt Brackett will finish down in 36th position. Austin Reedy finishes in 37th, and Craig Parks will finish in 38th after that lap 2 crash.
That's your entire field here from the virtual Auto Club Speedway. 38 drivers strong, but the man up front, and at the end of this race, taking the checkered flag, is Lawson Peel in the 12, capturing another win here at Auto Club, and another win in the 4-wide racing series will bring him in from Paul's Setup Shop Victory Lane. And Lawson, it's safe to say that no matter how many things this series will throw at you, no matter how many new cars, no matter how many new teams, drivers, you name it, everything new, you find yourself in a familiar place. Victory Lane is where you sit once again for the 24th time in your 4-wide racing career. Talk us through your emotions in this moment. What are you feeling after getting the checkered flag in race 1?
Yeah, obviously switching to the B car this season, and mixed feelings about that. I definitely have always been one to prefer the A car, but I had a lot of fun tonight, and I've been enjoying getting in this car, trying to learn, get the hang of it, and see what it's all about. And man, that race, the first 100 laps, caution free, I was having so much fun, and came from 36 starting spot, just methodically, just kind of slowly worked through the field. Had some green flag stops, and I was just really enjoying all of that. That's my kind of racing. Was able to kind of get up close to those leaders, but didn't know if I would have had enough to, if wanted, without those cautions, I think TJ lagged out. He was really good. I was consistently pitting, I think, 1 lap after some of those guys. I was pitting the same lap as Ethan and Mikey, and they were both really fast tonight. And so, knew I was going to have a lap fresher tires than AJ those last runs, but, that run before, I wasn't able to pass him. So was excited to see what was going to happen there. And unfortunately started getting yellows, and then it kind of turned into a restart competition. But, man, it was a lot of fun, and really love this track. Always enjoy racing here. So, good vibes tonight.
That's 2 wins in a row here at Auto Club Speedway. You did the same thing in Season 5 with the next-gen cars, and you took the lead late in that race. You did not hold back. But let's talk about the beginning. 32nd, you started this race. It was a long journey you had to make before you could find yourself in a position to win. How were you able to keep your head in the game as the race progressed under green, and as you slowly but surely worked your way up through the field?
Yeah, I figured we'd get some yellows, but just definitely wanted to take it slow and steady. I kept it out of the wall for a good, I don't know when I got the wall the first time, but was just doing a good job, disciplined, at least those first 80, 90 laps. I kept it out of the wall. When I got up close to the front, I was trying to push, trying to use that high line in 3 and 4 and just see if I could make it happen. And you just can't overstep in this car. Before that damage model update we had last week, just one little brush of the wall would just end your night. So seems to be a little more forgiving with this new update, but this car is just it's all about finesse. I mean, like a race in the A car here, obviously you're just getting such huge runs, side drafting. Your mistakes are bigger, your runs are bigger, whereas in this car, just it's all about finesse and just little bit here and there, and you're just barely gaining advantages through these corners and slow runs down the straightaway. And so I enjoyed all of that. Just having to be, um, really, really detailed and finessed with it. Uh, so hopefully we have some good racing this year in this car. I think we will.
You are the winningest driver in 4 wide racing history. I'm sure that must feel good. And tonight, with the way you were able to go from the back of the field all the way to the front, I'm sure that feels satisfying as well. Now we look forward. You've got your win. You're not locked into the playoffs because we've got a different point system this time around. So how are you going to try to work with this momentum you've got after this win, push it towards Nashville Super Speedway, and try to go for your second ever 4 wide championship?
Yeah, those tracks like Nashville will be, surely a test. I mean, me, Kenneth. I like these types of tracks. So, success here is one thing. Going to those places like Phoenix and Nashville and Gateway and these intermediate tracks we got on the schedule. That'll be a test for me to see what I can do in this car on those kind of tracks. So just hopefully carry the momentum and good vibes into the season and just continue to try to get the hang of this car. I've never really driven this car all that much, so just continue to learn and get the hang of it, build some confidence, and keep up the momentum.
Might just have to say that the Iceman is now on fire, no? A little bit too early? That was a terrible pun. But
I don't know. We'll see. I like it. Let's see.
Well, Lawson, certainly a fantastic win here from Auto Club Speedway. It felt like you picked up right where you left off as you try to chase for another championship, and this is certainly a step in the right direction. Before we let you go on this victory here in Fontana, California, anybody in specific you'd like to thank for the W tonight?
Yeah, thank you to you and Francisco for broadcasting us. Excited to be moving over to your Kenneth Bueno Racing Network on YouTube this year. So hopefully everybody enjoyed it. Thank you to my DBR teammates, Paul's Setup Shop. Thanks to Joe for doing my paint scheme. Had a lot of good new rookie drivers that were showing out tonight. I thought Mikey Neal and Ethan Marino were both going to beat me. So I think you got maybe one or two of them on your team, Kenneth. So good drivers we're going to be in competition with this year. So looking forward to it.
Strong fight all the way to the end, but it's a victory here for you, Lawson, tonight from Auto Club. We certainly appreciate the time. Always great to talk to you. Congrats on the win, and we'll see you at Nashville Super Speedway to run it back next Wednesday.
Appreciate it.
So that is Lawson Pio, driver of the 12, getting to victory lane in a brand new car. The Xfinity Series car does not faze him at all, and it's a W here in California. But the native from California, Daniel Michel, unfortunately was just this short to a race win here in season number 6. He's joined alongside by Francisco Bacallao.
Well, Daniel, it wasn't a race win that I'm sure you were hoping for, but a very good outing for yourself here at your home racetrack. Just kind of take us through your evening and how you got up here.
Well, it started off all right. Starting up front in 6th, I believe. I was able to maintain that position, maybe move up a little bit, but towards the end of the run, I noticed that I just had nothing for the guys. So I tried to put it in conservation mode, just see where that would put me, but it was not helping. I was falling back real bad. Took 2 tires on one stop, thinking that that might be a good idea. Made it worse, and by the end, I was just hoping, okay, if I get a caution, I gotta pull some strategies here. I gotta take some tires. I gotta go off, like maybe take 2 when everyone comes in, or if no one pits, I pit. But in the end, when the caution came out, it was right after I had come into the pits, about 3 laps after. So I felt pretty good, like if I can hang there. So I was talking with Lawson. I was like, hey, I'm not fast. I know I'm up here on strategy. I just really want to, run my race. If I got something for you, I got something for you. But don't worry about me. I'm not gonna compromise each other's positions because I didn't want to race. I'm gonna be honest. I got worried because I was getting so loose off the corners.
And we saw you before that final caution flag. We saw you chasing him back down. So, if do you think that if that run stays green, you had something for him?
I definitely do. We were both talking about it. That restart, I got such a great jump on it, and I timed it perfectly. I had the runs on him. He tried to defend a little bit, but I was able to get underneath off of two, but I just didn't send the car in, and because of that, he maintained the lead. The next restart, I just couldn't do anything for it. It would have been good.
It definitely would have been interesting for sure, Daniel, but it's still a really good effort here in the season opener at your home racetrack. So just we'll give you the chance to give the shout outs to everyone that helped make this possible.
Well, I definitely want to shout out all the DBR guys. They're all real nice with me, and you know, we get to talk. We get to understand how each other are on the track, so that we're able to just run as hard as we can and not, you know, cause issues. But sometimes it happens. But yeah, I love running with those guys. I love running in here, four wide. I also want to thank Killer Brownie. They're on my car. They uh they do a lot for me. Uh, Different leagues, this league, everything. Really great brownies. I just can't thank them enough.
We appreciate you taking the time with us, Daniel, and of course, a really good effort here that resulted in a P2. We hope to see you out in Nashville next week.
Yep, thank you.
It's Daniel Michaud, driver of the 25, coming home second in the first race of Season 6. A lot of momentum to be carried to Nashville Superspeedway next Wednesday. We'll talk to the third place finisher, and coincidentally enough, it's the driver of the 3, Eric Schaefer. And Eric, man, you had a whale of a race. You started near the front, you were running up front for a while, then you had a point where you were a lap down beneath the top 25, and you worked your way back up to a podium finish. What are your thoughts after this hectic evening from Auto Club?
Well, man, it started out pretty good, Kenneth, but I kind of stepped on myself there when I went into the pits for the second pit stop and sped by a little bit. But stuff happens, and you got to come back from it. So I was able to catch a caution there, and I stayed out because it was right after a pit stop. So I caught me a wave around, and we got another quick caution after that. I was able to take some tires, and I had just 1 or 2 lap fresher tires than everybody else, and it kind of paid off, man. All in all, it was a pretty damn good night, I think.
And there were a bunch of cautions that flew in the last part of that race, make it at least 15 to 20 laps. How important were those type of cautions? You talked about it there. Fresh tires, you were able to stay out and get some of the track position back. But how important were those cautions frequently coming out to get you in the perfect place to snag third in those final laps?
The last one that we had, I kind of was hoping it wouldn't have came out. I wanted some green flag laps there because I was one of the quickest cars on the track right then. And I feel like I could have got up there and challenged a little bit better than what I did on the last restart, man. Once you get heat cycles on these tires, the car just changes so much. But no, I wanted I didn't want to see that last caution, but I'm kind of glad I got it. So I was able to start behind on the 6th place there and just get a run on the high side, man, and clear the 43. And once I cleared him, I was like, all right, I'm just going to kind of ride here. And then I saw Daniel touch the wall, and I tried to get second coming out of 4, but he just had too much momentum. All in all, man, I will take a 3rd place finish after being a lap down a little while ago.
One of the 3 Drinking Bros Racing drivers to finish this race inside the top 10. Now as you move over to another abrasive track, Nashville Superspeedway next Wednesday, how are you going to try to attack that one and continue the consistency moving forward?
Oh, I'm really looking forward to that track, man. That is one of my favorite tracks on iRacing in the B car. It's a toss up between that and Richmond for me, but that's definitely in my top 3 favorite tracks on here. Really looking forward to that. I know Lawson's good and all, but he better watch out for next week, brother, because I love Nashville. I really do.
Hey, calling your shot. We love it. We've seen it a lot in my history of broadcasting this series, I love that you're calling a shot here for next week, especially with the third place finish tonight. Have a lot of momentum on your shoulders. But Eric, before we let you go, on the podium finish from California, anybody in specific you want to thank and give props to for tonight?
Yeah, man. Definitely a huge shout out to you and Francisco for broadcasting. We really appreciate everything y'all do for us, especially now that we're on your channel. It's pretty freaking awesome. Huge shout out to the DVR guys. Like I always tell you, man, we fight and we argue and everything else, but we're like a little family. Shout out to Lawson for winning the race. Shout out to Reaper Speed Labs, Paul's Setup Shop, and definite shout out to Tyler for putting on a great league for us to run in and have a ball with each other, man. I really do appreciate him.
Well, Eric, on behalf of all of us at the KBueno Racing Network, want to send you the warmest congratulations on the third place finish here from Auto Club, the opener of Season 6, and we can't wait to see you and what you could do at Nashville Super Speedway next Wednesday.
All right, guys. Appreciate it.
So Eric Schaefer, driver of the 3, calling his shot, Francisco. I like it, saying, Lawson, I know you're good, but you better watch out. 2 of those Drinking Bros Racing teammates. You know, the competition, the friendly competition they have with each other. So awesome to see. But what a race, Francisco, from Auto Club. I'd say probably the most exciting season opener we've had in a while. I mean, we had almost everything. Late race restarts, bunch of great passes, lane changes. We had options all over the racing surface tonight. We had long green flag runs and some strategy. We had comers and goers. Practically the perfect recipe for a season opening race. And I can't tell you how excited we might be to just cover the rest of the year based on how tonight went.
Yeah, it was a really fantastic way to start the season. Exactly what you hope to be able to see and cover and be able to present to everybody. So I'm really ecstatic with what we're able to see here today. And Lawson Peel, once again, like we've said many times before, Kenneth is able to win here at Auto Club. Another victory to his fantastic resume. Just a phenomenal job for him. He's been able to win here with different race cars in the past, and it adds on to the historic career he's starting to build. And like you mentioned, we are going to Nashville next weekend, and that's going to be a different racetrack to what we saw here. This was a 2-mile abrasive asphalt circuit. That's going to be a 1.3 mile concrete abrasive circuit. So it's going to be very interesting to see what kind of dynamic carries over to there. We saw a first-time winner there last season. I don't remember right now who it was, but we saw a first-time winner there last season, and we saw a first-time winner back in Season 4, that being Jaden Porter. So first-time winners definitely try to make a name for themselves at Nashville. So any of these rookies or drivers that just haven't gone to victory lane yet are certainly looking at Nashville for an opportunity to see if they can take the checkered flag and end up victorious, Kenneth. So I'm really happy with how this race went. It definitely went well, and I'm excited to see what next week presents.
2 different winners the last 2 times we've been at Nashville Super Speedway. Steven Stempian last season. Jaden Porter the season before that was his first 4-wide racing career win at the time. Lawson Peel, though, at the top of the board for now, the winner of the season opener here at Auto Club Speedway. We will see you next Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern for coverage of the second race of the 4-wide racing TJ's Team Series from the Music City and Nashville Super Speedway. But until then, for Tyler Murray and everyone from the admin team and race council, and for all of us at the KBueno Racing Network, for Keelan Belshaw, for Charlie Byer, for my colleague in the booth tonight, Francisco Bacallao, my name is Kenneth Bueno, saying so long from Fontana, California. Congratulations to Lawson Peel. We'll see you at Nashville 1 week from tonight.